Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. Copying Natural Treasures, Cultivating Immortality is Not Difficult. Chapter 21. Not long after, I returned to the willow forest on Qingfang Mountain. He has already started to plunge into the big job of copying low-grade spiritual stones. For him, copying low-grade spiritual stones is actually not difficult at all, even if he just touches one. There can be hundreds of them in a minute. The only trouble is that it's too boring. More than 200,000 low-grade spiritual stones. No matter what, it will take several hours. It even takes most of a day to complete. This is indeed a bit tortuous. It would be great if I could have a middle-grade spiritual stone. If it were a middle-grade spiritual stone, one piece would be comparable to 100,000 low-grade spiritual stones. That would be much easier. Lu Lin complained in his heart. As far as he knew, this low-grade spiritual stone in the cultivation world was normally the benchmark for the chi training realm. The middle-grade spiritual stone is the benchmark for the realm of foundation building experts. Therefore, this thing is very rare for his current level. Perhaps Master Qingfang and the others should have it, but so far, he has never seen it once. In his world, at most, they are low-grade spiritual stones or fragments of spiritual stones. Perhaps I should also get a medium-grade spiritual stone as a spare. He had this idea in his mind. For him, although he has no need for middle-grade spiritual stones yet, this thing is not only a strategic resource at the bottom of the box, but also the direction of higher-level foundation building realm in the future. So keep one there to be prepared for any trouble. This is certainly true. More importantly, to him, preparing one medium-grade spiritual stone is equivalent to having countless medium-grade spiritual stones. Even if you put them aside for the time being and do not copy them, the same principle applies. You don't have to use it, but you'd better have it. And besides that, he actually wanted to use this middle-grade spiritual stone as an experiment. So when I think of this, he gradually had a definite idea in his heart. Middle-grade spiritual stone. Just take this opportunity. He also wants to get one to keep. So in the next 2 days, he directly worked overtime to produce a total of 350,000 low-grade spiritual stones, 230,000 of which were used to purchase Baihui Sword, Wind Dragon Flag, and Purple Sun Thunder Fire Barrier, leaving 120,000 used to exchange for mid-grade spiritual stones. In this case, it should be no problem. A few days later, Lu Lin came to Wulongshan Main Pavilion again. And he also brought several storage bags filled with low-grade spiritual stones. Although the size of low-grade spiritual stones is very small, only about the size of a thumb cap, there are still too many to hold it. A total of 350,000, even if it is the size of a fingernail, can pile up into a mountain. Of course, this is also related to the standard of Wulongmen and the small space area of conventional storage bags. But that doesn't matter anymore. Because as long as there are enough low-grade spiritual stones, that's enough. You are serious. Looking at the filled storage bags in front of him, although he was mentally prepared, Zheng Shang's mentality was still a little shocked at this time. I was simply shocked. After all, no matter what, these are hundreds of thousands of low-grade spiritual stones. How can he really get it from a mere little kid who practices 7th level Qi? What kind of joke is this? Isn't this too exaggerated? At this moment, Lu Lin suddenly spoke and spoke slowly. Uncle Zheng, all the low-grade spiritual stones are here, a total of 350,000. Wait, how much did you say? Zheng Shang's pupils suddenly shrank, and his expression changed again. Lu Lin looked at him in shock. Aren't these 230,000? Uncle Zheng, in addition to those top-grade magic weapons, I also need a medium-grade spiritual stone, so the total is 350,000 low-grade spiritual stones. All of this is troublesome for you. Lu Lin said slowly. As soon as he said this, Zheng Shang immediately fell silent. A mid-grade spiritual stone. It stands to reason that a little kid like Lu Lin, who is only at the 7th level of Qi training, dares to peek at the middle-grade spiritual stones at the level of a foundation-building expert, but he is actually willing to take out more than 100,000 low-grade spiritual stones. Come to exchange for a medium-grade spiritual stone. This is actually an incredible thing. But now, this matter, and those astronomical figures of 350,000 low-grade spiritual stones, have been put in front of us. In comparison, this does not seem to be a big deal. Zhang Shang remained silent for a moment. Then he silently stood up and left here. It didn't take long like this. He came back again. And inside his hand, there is also a sparkling purple storage bag. Putting the storage bag in front of Lu Lin, Zhang Shang said slowly. The Baihui sword, the wind dragon flag, the purple sun thunder flame barrier, and a middle grade spiritual stone. What you want are all here. Junior brother Lu, please check them. And once, he even changed his title and identity, from nephew to junior brother. Why is this happening? Very simple. To put it bluntly, it's just 2 words, strength. In this world of cultivation, all status and seniority are empty and completely useless. The only word that really works is one word. That is strength. As long as you have the strength, no matter what kind of uncle you are, even if you are a master, you can still call you dad. This is the truth. Got it. After picking up the storage bag and taking a look at it, Lu Lin suddenly laughed. Fortunately, everything went well. In this way, his goal is completely achieved. Then he spoke again to Zhang Shang, who had a complicated expression in front of him, and said with a smile. Uncle Zhang, thank you for this matter. No need to thank me, such a big deal is a good thing for me, and the reward will not be small. But, Zhang Shang hesitated for a moment, then gritted his teeth and said. Junior brother Lu Lin, although you have these things now, I still suggest you be careful. You know the current situation, the threat of the blood spirit sect is too great. So it doesn't hurt to be low-key. Be careful. Thank you for the reminder, don't worry, Uncle Zhang, I will pay attention. Lu Lin nodded, then changed the subject and asked. By the way, Uncle Zhang, how is the situation outside? Didn't we send a lot of people out to deal with them? Now, is there any result? Not yet. Zhang Shang shook his head, but continued. However, this matter is not only about our Wulongmen, but also the other 4 major forces, the beast-taming villa, the Yanyumen, and even the Blood Hand Society. Feihe Valley. They are all involved. So, even if the enemy is the blood spirit sect, there will be no problem. After all, our 5 major forces are not made of clay. Hearing this, Lu Lin's eyes flickered. Sure enough, it is worthy of the great perfection of the foundation building to come out in person. Sure enough, it is really a large-scale joint action of the 5 major forces. But this is indeed good news. As the local snakes of their Qingyan North. As long as the 5 major forces can work together. It should not be a big problem, right? The thoughts in my heart are spinning. But immediately, Lu Lin stood up and left. Uncle Zhang, the transaction is completed, then I won't disturb you anymore and I'll take my leave now. Okay. Zhang Shang also stood up and said with a smile. If you still have any needs or need help in the future, just come to me. If I can help, I will try my best to do it. Obviously, his attitude has changed now. From the beginning, he was a junior with a slightly overlooking perspective, but now, he is also determined to win over Lu Lin and make friends. He even regards him as a peer. The core of it is nothing more than 2 words, value, or in other words, strength. After all, someone who can afford a total of 350,000 low-grade spiritual stones. This can already explain a lot of problems. In a sense, this is also a display and symbol of strength. And this is enough. I will. Lu Lin nodded, then got up and left here. With the items in hand, he was ready to test his inner thoughts. What's the idea? Of course, it's about the refining of the best magic weapon and its use. Not long after, Lu Lin left Wulong Mountain and returned to Qingfeng Mountain, where he began to refine the Baihui sword, the Wind Dragon flag, and the Purple Sun Thunder Fire shield. A few more days passed like this. The initial sacrificial work. It has already been initially completed. Then the next step is to test an experiment. With my current strength, can I use these top-notch magic weapons? Lu Lin murmured. Whether it can be used or not is actually divided into more detailed categories, such as perfect use, normal use, barely usable, not very usable, very barely usable, or even completely unusable. Wait. These are all different. The so-called knowing yourself and the enemy, and therefore, he must understand it thoroughly. How far can he use these top-quality magic weapons? But, just do it on Qingfeng Mountain. However, The power of these top-grade offensive magic weapons should make a lot of noise, right? Lu Lin murmured, feeling a little tangled in his heart. Unlike defensive top-quality magic weapons like the Blue Toad Shield, if you want to test the specific conditions and maximum power of these top-quality offensive magic weapons, you must have full firepower and use them all. But in this case, the movement will naturally be loud. It's even easy to spot. Of course, this is something he doesn't want to see. After all, he was going to use these things as his trump card at this stage, but if they were all spread out and known by others, what kind of trump card would they be? Then it would be meaningless. No, how about going outside and taking a look? Lu Lin had such an idea in his heart. Suddenly, he seemed to want to go out. Over the years, he seems to have been living on Qingfeng Mountain for too long. He didn't feel it before, but now, just a second ago, he suddenly had the idea of changing. Maybe he can go out and take a look now. When I think of this, the impulse in his heart began to stir. It even started to sprout a little bit. Then, there was silence for a moment. He took another step and walked towards the attic on Qingfeng Mountain. Not long after, he had arrived in front of a white-gray door covered with restrictions. He stretched out his hand and knocked gently on the door a few times. Down. Sister, it's me, Lu Lin. There is still peace inside the gate. But a moment later, the door suddenly banged loudly and opened a gap. So next, Lu Lin opened the door and walked in. At the same time, he whispered, "Sister, are you okay?" Looking around, inside the gate is a huge formation of tens of meters filled with the power of formation patterns. Within this formation, Lin Chong was sitting cross-legged on the center of the formation, and the huge formation power from all directions was like threads, flowing endlessly, extending and connecting to her body. The whole scene looks very magical. It's also very strange. And this is the power of the formation that Master Qingfeng specially used to help Lin Chong heal his injuries, the Glimmer Formation. It is said that this is a restorative formation in the foundation building realm. It can help even the strong ones in the early stages of foundation building to slowly recover from most serious injuries. Therefore, a little guy, like Lin Shang, who is only at the 11th level of Qi training. Of course, it's no longer a matter of course. Although he knew this in advance, it was his first time to actually see it. Therefore, Lu Lin was still quite curious and even very interested in the magical and powerful formation in front of him. I wonder if I can try these formations in the future. Lu Lin murmured in his heart. From his understanding, formations feel very similar to alchemy. Array formation materials are equal to elixir refining materials, and formation is equal to elixir refining materials. Therefore, as long as there are enough array formation materials, he should be able to rely on unlimited array formation practice. Thus stepping into the formation, even become a formation master. But I have to admit, there are thousands of avenues, infinitely huge. He is only a human now, not a god, so his energy and time have been filled up by the basic cultivation of a cultivation level in the way of alchemy. He has no time or energy at all now to learn other things. So he could only shake his head with some pity. Then he looked at Lin Chong in the core of the formation and said, "Sister Lin Shang, are you okay?" "Okay." A weak voice came. Lin Chong opened his eyes and said calmly, "Master has helped me solve the more serious problems. However, recovery still takes time because it needs to be slow. Otherwise, there will still be some hidden dangers. I just didn't expect that. I seem to be a bit of a blessing in disguise this time." A blessing in disguise. Lu Lin was stunned for a moment, then looked at his face carefully, then opened his mouth and said in surprise, "Senior sister, have you made a breakthrough?" At this time, Lin Shang's body. He actually felt a trace of the huge power of the 12 heavenly perfections. In other words, she actually broke through. Yeah, I didn't expect that I would be able to break through to the 12th level of Zochin as a blessing in disguise. Sure enough, there will be big gains between life and death. Lin Shang sighed with emotion, then looked at Lu Lin and said, "You kid came to me for something, right? Tell me, what's the matter?" Lu Lin hesitated for a moment, but he still gritted his teeth and said, "Senior sister, I plan to go out." Going out? Lin Shang was startled for a moment. Then he smiled and said, "It seems that you are worried about me. Okay, let's go. I'm not as fragile as you think, and besides, I'm just recuperating from my injuries and I haven't lost my combat effectiveness. So, if you want to go, go ahead. Besides, Xiao Lindsay, it's time for you to go out and have a look." Saying, she changed the topic and narrowed her eyes. A breathtaking and sharp look filled the air. There is even some murderous intent emerging. Nowadays, the actions of those guys from the blood spirit sect are becoming more and more bold. This is actually very obvious. In the future, we will definitely have a battle with them. And you, staying here on Qingfeng Mountain all the time and not going out, it's not okay. Cultivation is important in the journey of cultivation. But fighting is equally important. If you never dare to cross this threshold, there will definitely be problems in the future. Remember, Lin Shang stared at Lu Lin closely, and her weak voice became a little louder. Said categorically, practice can make you stronger, but fighting can keep you alive. Do you understand? I understand, senior sister. Lu Lin nodded immediately, his eyes became a little complicated. Indeed, he has been huddled in Qingfeng Mountain for these years, not going out. To put it nicely, this is called development, and this is called coercion, but in reality, this actually has something to do with his mentality. To put it bluntly, as a person who came from a modern peaceful society on Earth, he still feels a little strange and confused about the cruel and bloody environment of forest-like beasts in today's world of cultivation. Even scared. Therefore, the protection mechanism of his own mentality allowed him to deliberately avoid the strange and dangerous things, making him subconsciously just want to linger on Qingfeng Mountain and not go anywhere. But now, his development has finally made some achievements. His current strong strength has finally given him some confidence and confidence. So much so that he is now willing to break this layer of psychological self-protection. Be willing to step out of your comfort zone and see. But anyway, the reality is like this. No matter how powerful you are, there is one thing you cannot escape in this world of cultivation, and that is fighting. It doesn't matter how strong you are. Rather, your combat ability must be able to reach a certain level of proficiency, and at the very least it must not be a hindrance. Only in this way can you exert 70% or even 80% of your own strength. So, this part of the battle, he had to do it, face it. This is inescapable and unavoidable. And now, the reason why he had such an idea and wanted to get out was because the idea came to him, and it was because this was his own psychological instinct that was helping him break out of his comfort zone. Help him become stronger. So he immediately nodded and said, "Senior sister, I plan to go out and take a look." "Go." Lin Shang nodded and said with a smile. "If you are willing, you can go to the main pavilion to find a suitable task to receive. There are many types of tasks there and the levels are evenly divided. If you look around, there will always be one that suits you. As for me, you don't have to worry about me." The words just fell. There was a dull buzzing sound, and huge pressure rushed towards him. Behind Lin Shang, a sparkling light appeared out of thin air. Look carefully. It was a pink fan. Looking at the fan, Lu Lin still laughed. He didn't know it before, but now he knows that this thing is also an extremely top-notch magic weapon. Then, he bowed respectfully and said, "Sister, thank you. Then I'll go out first." "Go ahead." After Lu Lin turned around and left here, the door slowly closed. Lin Shang suddenly laughed and was filled with emotion. He was also a little surprised in his heart and murmured, "Sure enough, he turns into a dragon when the storm strikes. It seems that what Master said is true. This boy Lu Lin. What a genius. How long has it been since then, and you've already been practicing the 7th level of Qi. This speed is really fast." Although she knew that her junior brother Lu Lin was only a first-grade useless spiritual aperture, she also knew that many true geniuses would never be affected by this little, first-grade useless spiritual aperture. Trapped. And now Lu Lin. She had already seen those 2 words. That's genius. A true genius. The main cabinet. After walking out of the attic, Lu Lin murmured. Then he rushed towards the Wulong Mountain main pavilion again with firm eyes. Since everything is ready now, there is no need for him to worry about it anymore. He wants to go out and have a look. And, he should also go out and take a look. A few hours later, main pavilion, Zheng Shang looked at Lu Lin who came back in front of him with some surprise, and then asked. "Junior brother Lu Lin, do you want to receive a mission?" Yes, Uncle Zhang, I'm sorry to trouble you. Lu Lin nodded and said calmly. I want to receive a combat mission. Combat mission. Zhang Shang was silent for a moment, and then suddenly said. Junior brother Lu Lin, you may not know that the combat missions of our Wulong sect are probably related to those guys from the Blood Spirit sect. If you insist on a combat mission, then we'll just have to bump into them. Are you sure? I am sure, Lu Lin said without hesitation. Of course he knew the current situation. As long as it was a combat mission, not to mention 9 out of 10, there was even a 100% chance that he would run into those guys from the Blood Spirit sect. But he doesn't care, as long as he makes a choice, so what if it's the Blood Spirit sect? He doesn't care at all. But he added another sentence next. But Uncle Zhang, I need a longer combat mission. If possible, it would be best to have a long-term mission. Long, that's right, why long-term? Of course there are other purposes as well. First, because he is lazy and homebound, and is not used to running around in a short time. The second reason is that his current proficiency in Purple Jade Pill is still at the stage where he needs practice and proficiency. Therefore, he still needs a fixed place to continue practicing to improve the proficiency of Purple Jade Pill. In this case, in the long run, it becomes a necessary condition. And more importantly, after his proficiency in Purple Jade Pill increases, his cultivation level strength will once again usher in a surge stage. The previous 4th level of Qi training and the 7th level of Qi training will be forgotten. It doesn't matter if his cultivation level is too weak, but if his cultivation level strength can skyrocket to the level of the 12th heavenly perfection of Qi training in a short period of time, wouldn't it be too ostentatious? That could easily cause trouble. Therefore, he also had to go out and hide for a while. In this way, we can have an excuse to explain this matter. Wait for me now. At this time, Zhang Shang stood up and walked out, but not long after, he came back again, and this time, he had a shining token in his hand. And an atlas. Junior brother Lu Lin, what do you think of this mission? Zhang Shang said. At the same time, he handed everything to Lu Lin. Lu Lin took it smoothly, then opened it and looked through it carefully. At the same time, he murmured subconsciously. Ningping Feng. That's right, Zhang Shang nodded and then explained. Ningping Peak is located on the north side of Xuanchen Kingdom, next to the important frontier city, Ningping City. There is a valuable mine here, Xuanti Gold Mine. This is one of the important assets of our Wulongmen, so, we will always send people to guard this place. But, hey. He sighed. Then the conversation changed and he said. But some time ago, there was a problem at Ningping Fang. Ningping Peak was attacked. The team stationed there consisted of 2 10th level Qi practitioners and 7 or 8 elite disciples in the middle and late stages of Qi training. In the end, less than half of them survived. Suddenly Lu Lin narrowed his eyes and asked. Did people from the Blood Spirit sect do it? That's right. Zhang Shang sighed. Then continue. The Xuanchen Kingdom is one of the several vassal countries under our Wulong sect. Their population is only 1 million, their area is very small, and they occupy a relatively northern location. If they were any further away, they would be almost outside Qingyun North. So, the risk there is not small, and people from the Blood Spirit sect often cross the border and come to cause trouble. After saying this, he looked towards Lu Lin again and spoke again. Junior brother Lu Lin, for this mission, I can give you an identity equivalent to that of Captain, but there is another person who also has this identity. So if you want to go, other internal problems need to be solved by yourself. After hearing this, Lu Lin did not answer immediately, but fell silent and fell into thinking. Just a moment later, he suddenly asked again. Besides this, is there anything else? Yes, but relatively speaking, it may not be that suitable. Zhang Shang nodded and said with twinkling eyes. If you want a long-term mission, it is usually relatively stable and safe in the long term, and there are not so many troubles. But if you want a combat mission, you can only choose places close to the border. But if you are too close to the border, it is basically equivalent to facing those people from the Blood Spirit sect directly. This is too dangerous, and the geographical location of Ningping Peak is relatively better. It's also safer, don't you think? He asked, then changed the topic and said with a smile. Of course, if you think it won't work, that's okay. I'll go look for it and see if there are any suitable options. That's okay too. No, Lu Lin shook his head. Then he stood up and bowed to Zheng Shang in front of him, thanking him. Thank you, Uncle Zheng, that's all. I took it. Come to think of it, long-term tasks must have one characteristic. That's safety, or relatively speaking, so this is actually somewhat inconsistent with the risks of combat missions. So he has nothing to choose from. That's it, good. Zheng Shang smiled and then continued. This token is your token, nothing else. The mission cycle is 5 years. After 5 years, the mission is over and you can come back. Besides, if it's a special situation, you can also take care of it yourself, do you understand? Upon hearing this, Lu Lin also laughed directly. Do you have to figure it out yourself? Then this is quite good, ha ha ha. There is a map of the specific location of Ningping Peak on the mission map. Just follow the directions on the map. Junior brother Lu Lin, do you have any other questions? Zheng Shang asked. No, thank you Master Zheng, thank you. No need to thank you. After all, we are not considered outsiders, we are also our own people. When senior uncle Qingfeng left, he also told me to take care of you, and that girl Lin Shang. Hey, I heard that she was also injured. Fortunately, she is fine and came back alive. Zheng Shang sighed with emotion. Then he said again. Besides, there is something else you need to pay attention to. Although Ningping Peak is still some distance from the border, it is indeed not too far away. That place is risky, so you must be careful and remember it. Be careful of the Blood Spirit Gate. If they really take action, remember, your life is more important than your mission, so be smart. It's Uncle Zheng, I understand. Lu Lin nodded, then got up and left here. At the same time, looking at Lu Lin's leaving figure, Zheng Shang also squinted his eyes and became filled with emotion. It's really interesting. I didn't expect that a useless spirit could actually turn into a genius. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, it would have been unbelievable. Why would he say that? In fact, the previous conversation has already explained many issues. Ning Pingfeng died several times in the middle stage of Qi training, and even had a 10th level of Qi training, but what about now? This kid Lu Lin actually seems to have no feeling at all. You must know that his cultivation level is the 7th level of Qi training. That's it, aren't you afraid? Is it that simple, just agree. So, isn't this a temptation? No strength at all. Where does the confidence come from? So he must have understood that Lu Lin definitely has a secret. But that doesn't matter anymore. The important thing is that since kindness and favor have been given, he can't care about the other things, and they have nothing to do with him. Then he got up and left here. And at the same time, Lu Lin has already started walking towards the outside of Wulongmen Mountain. About a month later, in Qingyan North, on a huge mountain range in the border area of Xuanchen Kingdom, this is where the famous Ningping Peak is located. As one of the important assets of Wulongmen, this place has always been a forbidden and important place, and strangers are not allowed to enter. However, now, in a cave in a complex of exquisite buildings at the foot of Ningping Peak Mountain, a man in his 40s appears. The bald-browed man was in a certain room, walking back and forth, with a hint of anxiety on his face. After a while, the big man turned around and seemed to want to leave, but at this moment, there was a burst of rapid footsteps outside the door. As soon as this scene occurs, immediately, I saw that the big man looked happy, but he also seemed a little nervous and worried. The situation was complicated. However, he immediately stepped out and saw that not far in front of him, there was an old man with brown stripes and white hair who also looked to be in his 40s or 50, walking quickly towards him. Lao Lu, how is the situation? Have you found it? It should have been found, right? The big man asked quickly. But the old man shook his head and looked ugly. No, we failed. What did you say? The big man's face changed drastically, and he turned pale. Then he stretched out his hand, shook his head vigorously, and asked. What on earth are you doing? How could this fail? Do you know that we don't have much time? New people will arrive soon. By then, won't we? Ah, the old man sighed, then said helplessly, Ji Yu Beiyun, you have to know that it is the black iron gold soul, not an ordinary black iron stone. If I can have the strength of the Foundation Establishment realm, then I can firmly grasp it, but the problem is that I am only a 9th level Qi training realm. You want me to do this? Can I do this? Or you can try it. The big man Ji Yu Beiyun's face froze, his face turned blue and purple. But in the end he still sighed and fell silent. Just after a while, he couldn't help but sigh with a complicated expression, and said, "Ah, if I had known this was the case, I might as well report this matter directly. You know, this is the black iron gold soul. The reward from above will definitely not be small." "So what?" the old man surnamed Lu sneered and said coldly. "Can that little reward be compared with the black iron gold soul? Don't forget, this is a top treasure comparable to the golden elixir level natural treasures. The value of the black iron gold soul is enough to change our future. Do you understand?" "But, no buts," the old man surnamed Lu interrupted him and said coldly. "Ji Yu Beiyun, don't be naive. We have come to this point. There is no turning back. Now we can only keep going. The black iron gold soul can only be ours." Ji Yu Beiyun was silent for a while, then raised his head and looked at him and asked, "What about the new guy? Kill him directly." "But, if we kill him directly, won't there be another problem? In this case, the people above will definitely suspect us. This is not a solution." "I know." The old man surnamed Lu nodded, a hint of viciousness appeared on his face, and he said coldly, "Let's wait until he comes. Didn't you say there's only one person? As long as he's not too powerful, we can handle him with our strength. It's best to leave him alone for now. After we catch the black iron gold soul, we'll kill him. Run away and get away from here." "Well," Ji Yu Beiyun nodded and said with narrowed eyes, "that's the only way. And the situation is too bad now. The people from the blood spirit sect are coming aggressively. It looks like there will be a fight. In that case, we have to run away. It's good that you know." The old man surnamed Lu sneered. But at this moment, another voice suddenly came from outside the house. "Brother Lu, Brother Ji Yu, there's a guy who calls himself Lu Lin outside. He said he's new here." Suddenly, the old man surnamed Lu and Ji Yu Beiyun looked at each other, then narrowed their eyes slightly, flashing cold light. "Let's go. Let's take a look." Ji Yu Beiyun took the lead and walked over directly. At the same time, the old man surnamed Lu also followed directly. At the same time, outside the building complex, Lu Lin had already arrived here in a carriage, and at this time, he had already walked out of the carriage, looking up and looking around. Constantly looking at the scenery in front of him. There are quite a few people in the building complex in front of him, but you can tell at a glance that there are more mortals. Most of these mortals have numb expressions, their clothes are very tattered, and their bodies are thin. Seems to be very miserable. In addition, the two guys standing in front of him who are in the 8th and 9th levels of Qi training are more eye-catching. Because apart from them, it seems that there are no other cultivators here. Isn't this a bit strange? Why are they the only ones here? Or is it because of the previous attack that caused too many casualties, and the current number of Wulongman's manpower is not enough, so this is the case? Lu Lin murmured in his heart. Just then, some spiritual energy fluctuations suddenly came from the road not far away. Lu Lin turned his eyes and looked over. Seeing a bald man in his 40s and another old man with brown stripes in his 40s or 50s, they have already appeared over there, and are walking towards him at the same time. It seems that this is the new junior brother Lu Lin. "Hello. Let me introduce myself. My name is Ji Yu Beiyun, currently the task leader of Ningping Peak, and this is Lu Shuangquan. Let's all get to know each other." Ji Yu Beiyun stretched out his hand to Lu Lin with a smile on his face. But at this time, he was already extremely shocked and surprised in his heart. Because, the 7th level of Qi training. No, what does this mean? What is going on? And it's not just him. At this time, the old man Lu Shuangquan also stared at Lu Lin with a strange look, as if he didn't expect the situation to be like this. You know, the news they received was that the second task leader had arrived, but what about now? Task leader, the 7th level of Qi training. What does this mean? Are you kidding? Hello, senior brother Lu, I'm Lu Lin. At this moment, Lu Lin was the first to extend his hand. Hearing this, Lu Shuangquan also woke up immediately, and then immediately smiled, shook hands with Lu Lin, and said, "Welcome, junior brother Lu, I'm Lu Shuangquan, nice to meet you." Senior brother Lu is polite. Lu Lin paused, and then deliberately said modestly, I'm Lu, a newcomer, and I need a few senior brothers to take care of me. The main reason is that the sect is short of manpower and can't pull more people. Otherwise, I wouldn't come here. As soon as he said this, Lu Shuangquan couldn't help but frown and said, "What, is the situation serious?" "I don't know the specific situation, but I only know that the master of the beast-controlling villa, Ouyang Longjun, is dead, so now the beast-controlling villa has begun to lead our 5 major forces to prepare for a big move." Hiss. Ji Yu Beiyun took a breath and was shocked. Oh, Ouyang Longjun is dead. As the master of the beast-taming villa, one of the 5 major forces, Ouyang Longjun's name is definitely resounding in their ears, so this news means to them. It's really a big impact. And more importantly, the impact behind this incident is really serious and far-reaching. The Blood Spirit sect is coming fiercely. The 5 major forces have also joined forces to cooperate. So what happens next? No doubt, that means war begins. When I think of this, Ji Yu Beiyun quickly looked at Lu Shuangquan. But he found that the latter was also making the same action and looking at him. Then I saw Lu Shuangquan was silent for a moment, and then he spoke again and said softly, "Junior brother Lu, you have just come here, so you should familiarize yourself with the situation here. In fact, there is nothing to worry about. It's nothing more than changing a place to practice." "That's right." Ji Yu Beiyun also nodded and explained. "Here, all the mining process is completed by those mortals. We don't have to worry about these ourselves. All we need to do is guard this place. It's just to prevent other monks from coming here to cause trouble. Really, that would indeed save a lot of worry." Lu Lin nodded, and then asked again. "But I heard that some time ago, we were attacked by people from the Blood Spirit sect." "That's right." As soon as I heard this, Lu Shuangquan also nodded calmly, then narrowed his eyes and said, "Speaking of which, this may also be related to the alliance action of our 5 major forces. Half a year ago, people from the Blood Spirit sect attacked us, but they just came here just to kill people. After a fierce battle, they left here, but no one knows when they will come next time. And we also lost a lot of people and suffered heavy losses." After listening to this, Lu Lin also had a headache. Just come here to kill people. That does seem a bit troublesome. Then he asked again, "How is their strength?" "It's awesome." Ji Yu Beiyun pursed his lips and said with twinkling eyes, "Their leader should be a core disciple of the Blood Spirit sect, and his cultivation level should be above the 11th level of Qi training. In addition, they also have many other elite disciples. There are almost 10 or 20, right? So much." Lu Lin raised his eyebrows and said in surprise, "More than 10 or 20? Isn't that more than twice their number?" "Yeah," Ji Yu Beiyun sighed and said, "In terms of strength alone, those guys from the Blood Spirit sect are indeed much more powerful than us. There's no way around it. But now that junior brother Lu Lin has joined us, our pressure should be less, right?" He looked towards the willow forest, squinting his eyes and looking at it. "Senior brother Ji Yu, don't think too highly of me. After all, I am just a 7th level Qi practitioner." Lu Lin shook his head and said. But as soon as he said this, whether it was Ji Yu Beiyun, Lu Shuangquan, or even the other 2 Qi cultivation 9th level and Qi Lian 8th level, they all smiled in unison. It's like a bit of ridicule. And I don't believe it at all. After all, he is not stupid at all. Of course, I don't believe that the sect really sent a guy from the 7th level of Qi training to be the captain. That's all in peacetime, but it's different now. It's an extraordinary time. To engage in this kind of moth in this period is completely seeking death, and it is asking for death. Therefore, it is definitely impossible." Then I saw Ji Yu Beiyun speaking again, saying softly, "Junior brother Lu Lin, you have worked hard all the way here. You must be tired after traveling. So, I won't disturb you anymore. Just rest first. Everyone is here anyway. If you have anything or any questions, please say hello. Just say it, we will definitely not refuse." "That's right." Lu Shuangquan also nodded and said with a smile, "Junior brother Lu Lin, let's go. I'll take you there. There happens to be another mansion from before. It was originally Brother Han's place, but it's a pity. Those Blood Spirit sect guys. Hey, forget it, let's not talk about this anymore, let's go." Good. After hearing this, Lu Lin did not object. After all, it's my first time here, so it's almost okay. So next, under the leadership of Lu Shuangquan, Lu Lin came to a townhouse that looked pretty good. After that, Lu Shuangquan also left here directly. No further interruption. Lu Lin was left looking at the other person's leaving figure thoughtfully. There was some murmuring in my heart. Why does it feel weird? He didn't know why, but he always felt that this Shuangquan and Ji Beiyun were a bit weird, but he couldn't explain why. It was just intuition, or was it an illusion? But he didn't worry too much about this, because he agreed very much with what Lu Shuangquan said before. It's here, it's just a matter of practicing in another place. And here, he also started to let go and do things. So he left here directly next, heading towards the depths of Ningping Peak Mountain. After he leaves, in a dark corner of the building complex, the figures of Ji Beiyun and Lu Shuangquan slowly appeared. Moreover, they all looked gloomy at this time and remained silent. Seems to be thinking about something. What's next? After a moment, Ji Beiyun suddenly asked. There seems to be something wrong with this kid. There is indeed something wrong. Lu Shuangquan nodded and murmured with sinister eyes. It's just the 7th level of Qi training, but you're not afraid of us at all. It seems that he is very confident in his own strength, right? Ji Beiyun was silent for a moment, and then suddenly said with murderous intent. Why don't we just do him? Let it go first. Lu Shuangquan shook his head and said lightly. No matter how confident he is only a 7th level Qi practitioner. In a sense, this is also a good thing for us. If he dies, what if the person who comes next time is a Qi practicing 10th level, or even an 11th level, or a Zochin? Wouldn't that be more troublesome? But Ji Beiyun was anxious and couldn't help but say. What if he discovers the black iron golden soul? It's not that easy. Lu Shuangquan shook his head and said lightly. The black iron gold soul is hidden deep inside the black iron gold mine, and it can be moved at any time. It is very cunning. You know, even we found it by chance. Do you think this kid is just so lucky? There is no good thing. So let's wait and see first, and I am worried about one thing. The people from the Blood Spirit sect can come once, and they can come a second time. We used them to silence them before, but now, our current strength is really too weak. Anyway, with one more person, our pressure will be much less. So this is the only way for now. Then he looked at Ji Beiyun again and said seriously. There is only one thing we can do now, and that is to try our best to find the black iron gold soul as soon as possible. As long as we get the thing, we can leave here immediately. And we can't care about so many things now, understand? Well then, Ji Beiyun was helpless, but he could only compromise. At the same time, Lu Lin had already come to the depths of Ningping Peak. Here, he was ready to test the true power of those top-grade magic weapons in his hand, and his current actual combat power, to what extent. All of this, he was ready to find out all at once. The so-called knowing yourself and the enemy, be prepared for any eventuality. A few hours later, following the winding mountain path, Lu Lin had already crossed the mountains and came to a very cheap hillside. This seems to be a mine, but it seemed to have been abandoned, with pits and holes everywhere. The crisscrossing mineral veins were exposed on the surface, or disconnected, or empty, completely in ruins, a scene of ruins. But this place happened to be used to test the lethality of his top-grade magic weapon, which was perfect. And then, Lu Lin started to act directly. First of all, it's the Baihui sword. Next, following the gentle word, Qi, from Lu Linko, strips of sword light suddenly appeared out of thin air, flying out from behind the willow forest. At the same time, it even turned around on his head, like a swimming dragon, forming a lot of flying traces, like a giant python, which was particularly amazing. What's this? This is one of the basic magic abilities of cultivators, the ability to expel objects. Almost every cultivator can come into contact with these when they first step into the threshold of cultivation and are already at the first level of Qi training. Besides, light body technique, fireball technique, freezing technique, wind control technique, etc. These are also the same. But, simply using the art of dispelling objects to control the best magic weapon. Of course, this is still almost meaningless, or even a lot worse. After all, it is no exaggeration to say that your proficiency in using this magical weapon can definitely directly determine the minimum limit of its lethality. It's just an object-repelling technique. The proficiency is too low and not precise enough. Of course its power and lethality will be much weaker. Therefore, further proficiency control, as well as the chemical reaction of mind-to-mind intertwining caused by continuous refining, can maximize the ceiling lethality of this magic weapon. But of course he can't do it to that level yet. It can only be said that he has just mastered it. At the same time, feeling the spiritual energy consumption speed in the body. Lu Lin also murmured with some twinkling eyes. It seems that the spiritual energy consumption of this Baihui sword is not very fast. In fact, it is only less than half of the green toad shield. Under normal circumstances, the comprehensive power intensity of a magic weapon depends on 2 points. First, the lethality or defense power, and second, the speed of spiritual energy consumption. If it is both powerful and consumes spiritual energy slowly, then of course it will be the most cost-effective. If it is powerful but consumes spiritual energy very quickly, this kind of thing can generally only be used as a killer move to suppress the bottom of the box. It can only be used as a final word. Its price-performance ratio is also slightly lower. But having said that, under normal circumstances, power and spiritual energy consumption are generally proportional. The greater the power, the faster the spiritual energy is consumed. This is normal. Only a very small number of special treasures are exceptions. And this Baihui sword, it's not that bad yet. Go. Next, Lu Lin took action again, controlling the Baihui sword hanging in the air to fly out. Suddenly, a powerful sword light flew out, forming a long light that looked like a crack. It was so fast that it just made a whoosh sound, and then it immediately hit the cliff of the Mine Mountain range not far ahead. Boom! Suddenly there was a loud roar. The huge power of this sword actually left a huge and narrow ravine directly on the cliff. The length is at least more than 10 meters, and the depth is also several meters. Hiss! Looking at all this, Lu Lin opened his mouth and suddenly gasped. As an adult from Earth, to him, the power of this sword is comparable to a bomb. One can imagine how much impact this scene, or this reality, had on him. Is this the power of the best magic weapon? It's worthy of it, it's really powerful. Lu Lin murmured. Then he started laughing, with a smile on his face and excitement on his face. People often say that a force of 10,000 caddies can destroy the world, but what about now? How powerful is this sword? It's simply taken it to the next level. You can imagine how great it feels. No wonder so many people want to become immortal cultivators, no wonder so many people want to work hard to become stronger. In addition to self-protection, the feeling of such powerful power is indeed so refreshing. Full of fatal temptation. Continue. Tasted the sweetness. Of course this can't be stopped. Then Lu Lin began to control Baihui's sword again. A new round of testing began. Or play. Soon, there were a lot of crackling and rumbling sounds in this deserted abandoned mine valley. Moreover, at the same time, the aftermath of those huge shock waves rushed towards us, even causing the entire earth to shake, as if it was an earthquake. One can imagine what this concept is. However, this kind of movement. But it only lasted less than 3 minutes. But it suddenly stopped suddenly. Why is this so? Because of the spiritual power in Lu Lin's body now. It has been completely consumed. As expected of a top-quality magic weapon, it consumes a lot of energy. It's only been a few minutes, but it's already gone. There is still a bit of excitement from the previous fun on his face. Then he sat down and reached out his hand to touch the storage bag. Suddenly, several sparkling middle-grade spiritual stones appeared, held in his hand. In addition to serving as a universal currency, spiritual stones can also. Its greatest effect is to restore spiritual energy. Especially this kind of middle-grade spiritual stone to help him, who is just a 7th-level chi practitioner, restore the spiritual energy in his body. It must be pinched with both hands. Extremely simple. Sure enough, as a large amount of spiritual energy poured into the body, the spiritual energy power in Lu Lin's body also began to recover rapidly, and it didn't take long. The spiritual energy in the body that was originally dry has now returned to its peak and is completely full. As expected of a mid-grade spiritual stone, the effect is really good. Lu Lin murmured, then put away the Baihui sword and took out the second top-grade magic weapon, the Wind Dragon Flag. It is different from a single kendo weapon like Baihui sword. The Wind Dragon Flag is a type of formation flag. What is a formation flag? In fact, it is the expansion and extension of the power of the formation. Various forms of magic weapon treasures, such as formation flags and formation discs, will store a large amount of formation power in them, thus forming portable and removable magic weapon equipment. The Wind Dragon Flag in his hand falls into this category. At this time, Lu Lin held the Wind Dragon Flag in his hand and whispered a few words, and then he raised his hand and threw it. Suddenly, the Wind Dragon Flag in his hand seemed to be alive. The huge formation power surged out like a turbulent wave, and the small flags instantly transformed into dozens of small flags, thrusting into the ground in all directions. Boom, 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 boom. Along with the muffled sound of these flags hitting the ground, a strong wind instantly whipped up. In the next moment, countless wind blades filled the air, and in an instant it was like a violent storm that destroyed the world. In the space above the power of the flag, an extremely amazing wind blade airspace was formed. Hiss! Suddenly, Lu Lin's expression changed again, and he couldn't help but take a breath and became shocked. Putting aside the power, I have to say that the scene in front of me is definitely much more impactful and shocking than the previous Baihui sword that slashed with one sword. Then, Lu Lin waved to the Wind Dragon Flag in the sky, and suddenly there was a roar. A ray of light flew back, and at the same time, traces of the Wind Dragon Flag appeared again in his hand. It is indeed a top-quality magic weapon. Every one of them is really a good thing. Lu Lin murmured, then he raised the Wind Dragon Flag high above his head, and then waved it gently. At the same time, he murmured in his mouth, "Wind Dragon." Roar! In an instant, the roar was overwhelming. The huge group of wind blades actually merged in an instant, forming a thick and violent storm. It soared into the sky like a giant dragon and struck straight at the entrance of the mineral vein in the distance. Boom! The next moment, a terrifying loud noise exploded instantly. This power, this huge destructive power, actually immediately destroyed everything in the area of nearly 20 meters. Actually, a terrifying and huge hole was made directly there. Looking from a distance, this pothole had been directly penetrated and had been baptized by powerful destructive power. At this time, everything around it was emitting hot smoke, which was particularly shocking. This power is simply terrifying. This power is so powerful. Holding the Wind Dragon Flag in his hand, Lu Lin's face turned pale to the naked eye, but he was also extremely excited. Obviously, the power of this blow definitely consumed a lot of spiritual energy in his body. But the power of the effect is also visible to the naked eye. Definitely a killer weapon. It's simply ridiculously strong, just at this moment. But he suddenly seemed to have discovered something. His eyes moved and he was suddenly surprised. Huh, what is that? I saw deep in the hole destroyed by Fengjiao Banner's strongest blow just now. At this time, there was a bright golden light that was flashing continuously. Especially in this dimly lit pit, it looked particularly shining and dazzling. As if full of inexplicable attraction. Is there something? Lu Lin murmured. Then he walked over carefully. Then, he saw what was in front of him. It was a magical object about the size of a fist, made entirely of gold, but extremely crystal clear, like a golden crystal. More importantly, this thing is not only beautiful and magical. Moreover, it seems that the whole body is filled with a spiritual power, which makes people feel very magical. Is this a natural treasure? Lu Lin was surprised. Although he didn't know what the thing in front of him was, he could guess that it must be an extremely rare and even valuable treasure. So he immediately stretched out his hand to take it away. But at this moment, sudden changes occur. The moment Lu Lin stretched out his hand, the golden crystal seemed to have its own ability to move and think. It moved instantly, like a beating little doll. He immediately flew up. No, can you still run? What the hell is this? Lu Lin's eyes suddenly widened. His face was full of shock and disbelief. Although he was now at the 7th level of Qi training, this was the first time he had seen such incredible things. I really learned a lot. But he was still not slow to react. While taking out several middle-grade spiritual stones and holding them in his hands. While restoring one's own aura. At the same time, He also immediately took out the purple sun thunder fire shield and threw it out of thin air. Go! Boom! With a loud noise, the purple sun thunder flame barrier grew stronger in the wind, flew out directly, then fell from the sky, poured down, and just filled the golden crystal. Done. Lu Lin clapped her hands and laughed. His intuition told him. He seems to be lucky today. I caught something good out of nowhere. However, at this moment, the inside of the purple sun thunder fire barrier actually erupted with bang. Boom, a thud, a crash. Hey, you still have a bad temper. Then I'll teach you a lesson. Lu Lin stretched out his fingers. A ray of spiritual energy struck the Ziyang thunder flame barrier in the air in front of him, and there was a muffled sound in an instant, as if it was thunder. A bolt of thunder and lightning pierced the sky, and then caused a raging flame. Suddenly I saw the entire purple sun thunder fire shield. All burned, like a volcano in the sky. The formation was so astonishing and powerful that it even surpassed the previous blow from the Wind Dragon flag and Wind Dragon. One can imagine how powerful this purple sun thunder fire barrier is. Can only say, in fact, it is worthy of its name. It's really fierce. But soon, the movement in the Ziyang thunder fire barrier slowed down a bit, and then slowly disappeared, because Lu Lin really couldn't hold it anymore. I didn't expect this thing to consume so much. Can't you even replenish the middle grade spiritual stones? Awesome. With a bang, Lu Lin weakly sat down on the ground and complained. I have to say that now he finally knows what, "you get what you pay for," means. Something worth 200,000 low-grade spiritual stones is indeed extraordinary and awesome. But this consumption of spiritual energy is really scary. This is really unbearable, even if he has middle-grade spiritual stones to continue to recover. But unexpectedly, it still can't keep up with the spiritual energy consumption rate of Ziyang Thunder Fire Barrier. This is a bit scary. It can only be said that in terms of the level of the best magic weapon, this Purple Sun Thunder Fire Shield is indeed the best. But he is indeed a freak and cannot be measured by common sense. But that doesn't matter anymore. For him, as long as it works, it's fine. Because as long as his cultivation level is getting higher and higher, this situation will be reversed significantly, so this is actually a good thing. The more powerful the Ziyang Thunder Fire Shield is, doesn't it mean that his trump card is more powerful? Then, Lu Lin slowly walked towards the Purple Sun Thunder Fire Shield in midair. At the same time, he also carefully observed the golden crystal inside through the outside of the shield. But he didn't even look at it. The look of shock on his face suddenly became more intense. No, this thing is completely fine. The power of the Ziyang Thunder Fire Shield cannot be refined. How is this possible? Lu Lin was shocked and said that the golden crystal inside the Purple Sun Thunder Fire Shield seemed to be fine at all. Even the outer skin was not burned through by the thunder and fire power of the Purple Sun Thunder Fire Shield. This is very scary. Is it possible that the defensive power of this thing is actually stronger than that of a strong foundation builder? This is impossible, right? Looking at this incredible scene in front of me, Lu Lin pursed his lips, a little lost in thought, but after a moment, he couldn't help but stretched out his hand, reached into it, grabbed the golden crystal and took it back. Then start copying it. And next, something even more surprising happened to Lu Lin. You must know that his copying power in the past was basically copying in seconds. Just touch it and it will be done. But now it's actually different. When the golden crystal came into contact with the jade pendant, the latter only slowly released a gray mist, wrapping it. In this way, after about a few breaths, another almost identical golden crystal. Only then did he appear in front of Lu Lin again. Suddenly, Lu Lin fell into silence again. It can be copied. It seems that this thing should be a natural treasure of heaven, material and earth, but it can't be copied instantly. Then, does this mean that the higher the quality level of the treasure of heaven, material and earth, the more copying is needed time? He murmured in his heart. And this thing can't even be burned by the thunder and fire power of the Purple Sun Thunder Fire Barrier. Therefore, these should be at least top-level foundation building realm treasures. Did you find a treasure? Are you so lucky? Quote. Think this through. He also started to have some smiles on his face. No matter what, it's very satisfying to have pie in the sky. I didn't expect that. I just came here to test the power of the best magic weapon, but I could actually make such a good thing. I really made a profit. But at this moment, Lu Lin suddenly seemed to notice something. At the same time, he raised his head and glanced at the direction of the hillside outside the mine. Then he flashed and hid on the spot. Not long after, the sound of breaking through the air came. Two figures arrived quickly. If you look closely, you will see that it is the bald man Ji Yubeiyun from before, and the 40 or 50-year-old Lu Xuanquan. However, as soon as they arrived here, then his pupils immediately shrank and his face changed wildly. No, someone has been here. Is it just the power of spiritual energy fluctuations? A magic weapon? Who the hell is it? Lu Xuanquan roared angrily. His face became ferocious. Try to find. Stop being stunned. Hurry up. Look everywhere for me. We can't let him escape. Ji Yubeiyun also looked livid at this time. His face was extremely ugly. His whole body was shaking, his heartbeat was racing, he was so angry and nervous. God knows how much they paid to get the black iron golden soul. It can be said that they did not hesitate to do anything, but if this is the case, if someone else gets the black iron golden soul first, he will definitely go crazy. This is absolutely impossible. Absolutely not. Calm down, idiot, Lu Xuanquan cursed, then he raised his head and looked around. Finally, his eyes fell on the area previously destroyed by Baihui's sword, as well as those large-scale traces that were completely destroyed by the power of the Fengjiao flag. Then a look of shock and anger appeared on his face. As if a little unbelievable. Ji Yubeiyun, look carefully. These are two completely different traces of spiritual energy, and more importantly, they are both powerful. I suspect this should be the power of the best magic weapon. The ultimate magical weapon. Ji Yubeiyun's pupils shrank, and then his face became even more ugly. You mean, someone started a fight here? Maybe. Lu Xuanquan's face changed for a while, and at the same time, he seemed to have discovered something, and then his eyes immediately locked in the direction of the mine where Lu Lin was hiding. At the same time, his eyes were still a little erratic. Seems like hesitating, but after a moment, he gritted his teeth, his face darkened, and he said coldly, "Aren't you coming out yet? You're hiding there. Do you want me to ask you to come out? Is there anyone?" Upon hearing this, Ji Yubeiyun's expression suddenly changed, and then he looked straight in the direction where Lu Xuanquan was looking. And at the same time, he raised his hand and grabbed it on the storage bag. Suddenly, light flashed, and a weapon emitting a surging gray light appeared out of thin air in his hand. It was something like a ruler. It's obviously a top-notch magical weapon. But it seems that it has not yet reached the standard of a top-quality magic weapon, and can only be regarded as an ordinary item. Sure enough, we were discovered. At this time, Lu Lin, who was hiding in the mine, sighed, and his expression changed. Originally, he had planned to just hide away. But now there seems to be no way this matter can just get over like this. It seems that Lu Xuanquan, Ji Yubeiyun and the others have discovered this thing a long time ago. Dark Iron Golden Soul. Does it seem like this is the name of this thing? Lu Lin held the black iron golden soul in front of his eyes and took a look at it, then put it into his storage bag and walked out slowly. When they saw him, whether it was Ji Yubeiyun or Lu Xuanquan, their expressions immediately changed. His eyes also shrank, as if he hadn't thought about it at all. "Lu, junior brother Lu, why are you here?" Lu Xuanquan looked at Lu Lin with a gloomy expression. But Lu Lin had no intention of beating around the bush with them. "Are you looking for this thing?" Lu Lin stretched out his hand, and immediately traces of the black iron golden soul appeared in his hand, and when he saw this scene, Lu Xuanquan and Ji Yubeiyun couldn't sit still. Zan iron golden soul, how could he do this to you? Hand it over. Give it to us." Ji Yubeiyun suddenly became excited, shouting loudly. At the same time, he also took steps to rush towards Lu Lin, with strong desire and greed in his eyes. But Lu Lin just shook his wrist slightly. The black iron gold soul in the hand has disappeared and returned to the storage bag. At the same time, he looked at Ji Yubeiyun, who was full of greed and excitement, and Lu Xuanquan, whose expression seemed a little uncertain, and spoke again, saying lightly, "If the thing is here with me, then it is naturally mine." "What, are the two senior brothers planning to rob it? What did you say?" Ji Yubeiyun became completely excited and stared at Lu Lin with a strong murderous intent in his eyes. "I said, hand over the things, otherwise, we will kill you." Lu, I'm warning you. Don't seek death. Junior brother Lu Lin. At the same time, Lu Shuangquan suddenly spoke, staring at Lu Lin and saying slowly. I have a suggestion, what do you think? Oh, what proposal? Lu Lin asked rhetorically. 50,000 low-grade spiritual stones. You give us the black iron golden soul. How about we pretend that we don't know anything about today's events? You picked up 50,000 low-grade spiritual stones for nothing. This should be a great sign of sincerity. Just give us the black iron golden soul. Lu Shuangquan also took steps forward. Slowly walked towards Lulin. 50,000 low-grade spiritual stones, are you crazy? Why, this is ours, why should we give it to him? This is impossible. Ji Yu Beiyun roared angrily. And at the same time, after hearing this, Lu Lin's expression began to become a little playful. 50,000 low-grade spiritual stones. It sounds like it is indeed good, but you don't seem to be planning to give it to me, right? Quote. Glancing at each other. Then he glanced at Ji Yu Beiyun on the other side again. I saw that the two opponents had formed a double team on him at this time, and they had completely trapped him, just like a turtle in a urn. Hee. Lu Shuangquan sneered. A sinister look appeared on his face, and he said mockingly. Junior brother Lu Lin, don't blame us because you shouldn't have appeared here. You shouldn't have taken away our black iron golden soul. We have paid too much for this. We even killed brother Han. Even if we are like this, if our black iron golden soul is still taken away by you, then won't all our hard work before be completely lost? In vain. Do you think this is possible? This is absolutely impossible. Hand it over to me, black iron golden soul. Otherwise, I will definitely kill you. Don't force me to do it. Brother Han. Lu Lin was stunned for a moment, and then his face became a little strange, because if he remembered correctly, another captain of the 10th level of Qi training who died in Ningping Peak before. Isn't it just Han? He was actually not killed by someone from the Blood Spirit sect. But were they killed by these two people? Wealth and silk touch people's hearts. He sighed in his heart and roughly understood the whole story. But if you think about it carefully, this is a treasure that seems to be a top foundation building realm treasure. For monks like them who are in the realm of Qi training, it is indeed of infinite value. It is indeed enough to drive them crazy. This is human nature. At the same time, the benefits are terrifying. But this has nothing to do with him. In any case, it seems that this battle must be fought. I will give you one last chance to leave here and let this matter go. Otherwise, I will have no choice but to kill you. Looking at the crazy two people in front of him, Lu Lin said lightly, but at the same time, he also began to prepare, and as if quietly, 8 child shields of the green toad mother shield appeared quickly on the inside of his clothes. Perfectly protected close to the body. Although this is the first battle. But he wasn't worried at all. There is no feeling of timidity or fear at all. The reason? It's nothing more than a word. Strength. It is no exaggeration to say. Just with the pile of top-quality magic weapons on his body, he is completely unafraid of any enemy below the foundation-building powerhouse, not to mention the two guys in front of him. Their cultivation level is only at the 9th level of Qi training. It's just the 10th heaven. For such guys, he even seriously doubted whether they could withstand the ultimate magic weapon. So he is really not afraid. It's absolutely certain of victory. But his confidence fell on the ears of Ji Yu Beiyun and Lu Shuangquan. But it is a great ridicule. It is even a great stimulus to them. So next, Lu Shuangquan roared without hesitation, and a strong murderous intent burst out in his eyes. Do it, kill him. In an instant, Lu Shuangquan raised his hand, and his magic power exploded. A series of terrifying ice cones shot out as if they were sharp blades, as if they appeared out of thin air. He rushed towards Lulin very quickly. This is an advanced version of the freezing technique, which is the basic spell in the Qi training realm. Although its power alone is not too powerful, it can only deal with those in the middle stage of Qi training, the 4th and 5th heavens. But of course quantity can also cause changes in quality. So many, even the crazy bombardment of dozens of ice cone spells. But it can still produce amazing abilities. But at this moment, Lu Lin raised his hand without saying a word, and a gray, fast sword light flew out from between his sleeves. The next thing I heard was loud rumbling noises. Those ice cones in the sky. It was all blown to pieces immediately. What? Ji Baiyun's pupils shrank and his expression changed wildly. He stared closely at the sword suspended in midair at this time. Incredibly said, How is it possible? This is the best magic weapon. How can you use the best magic weapon? However, Lu Xuanquan on the other side seemed to have expected it. He didn't show any surprise at this, but said slowly and gloomily. Sure enough, the traces of destruction here are all your fault. It seems that you are here just for the black iron golden soul. Am I right? Are you here for the black iron golden soul? Can I say that I am just lucky and hit the right mark? Lu Lin shook his head and didn't explain anything. Instead, without saying anything, he started to take action again. It was an experiment before, but now, it can be regarded as his first battle in this world after traveling through time. Therefore, he should prepare to be more serious, to avoid capsizing in the gutter. Go, he shouted softly, and the Baihui sword immediately flew away like a dragon, then shot out suddenly, rushing directly towards Ji Baiyun. Ji Baiyun couldn't help but his face changed drastically. But he immediately threw out the ruler in his hand, and saw a bright light burst out from the ruler, and then, a sharp beam of light shot out from it like a spear. He rushed directly towards Baihui's sword. But there is no doubt that this force, it was easily chopped into pieces by Baihui's sword. And more importantly, next, the impact of Baihui's sword. They didn't seem to slow down at all. In just an instant, the Baihui sword descended boldly and struck hard at Ji Baiyun. The latter instantly stepped back, and at the same time took out a large number of talismans and threw them forward. Boom, 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 continuous explosions. The attack target of Baihui's sword has been shifted. But that's all. As a top-notch magic weapon, the suppressive power currently seems to be overwhelming for an ordinary guy like him who is practicing at the 10th level of Qi training. In fact, Lu Lin has not contributed much at all. He was already a little exhausted and in a hurry. In this way, the difference in strength was revealed in the bloody night. In terms of strength alone, he couldn't beat Lu Lin at all. Can't beat such a mere 7th level Qi practitioner. How is this possible? This is impossible. Ji Baiyun was a little panicked. His face changed greatly, and he was still cursing angrily. But at the same time, another angry voice also sounded. Idiot, calm down. Lu Xuanquan roared angrily, and then said immediately. He only has the 7th level of Qi training, and he can't withstand the consumption rate of the best magical weapons. As long as we hold on, we will win. Moreover, there are 2 of us, and he only has 1. Do you understand? As soon as I finished speaking, he immediately touched his waist with his left hand. He took out a yellow talisman from his storage bag. Moreover, he even glanced at the talisman in his hand reluctantly, and then gritted his teeth. He threw it lightly in front of him and began to mutter something quickly. And in an instant, a powerful force that surges and explodes. It also quickly burst out from the yellow talisman. Like a stormy sea, overwhelming, terrifying. It's just the 7th level of Qi training, so what if you have the best magical weapon? I'm just a villain with a big sword, so there's nothing to be afraid of. I want to see if you will die under this wind and sand talisman. Go to hell, Lu Xuanquan mocked. Then he immediately took action and shouted loudly. Sand Wind Talisman, wake up. Chapter 31. The Wind and Sand Talisman, the top talisman in the Qi training realm, contains the powerful power of wind and sand. Wind and Sand technique is also the top spell in the Qi training realm. It is so powerful that it is comparable to the top Qi training realm. So, this is definitely his killer move. It is used to kill people with one fatal blow. Boom, boom, boom. Next, strong winds surged, loud noises roared, and the huge wind and sand turned into a wind dragon covering the sky and covering the ground for more than 10 meters, sweeping towards the willow forest with turbulence, and quickly drowned it. It's done. Lu Xuanquan's face lit up and he became excited. Hit head on. That would be no problem. After all, he didn't believe that just a 7th level Qi practitioner could survive his wind and sand talisman. That was impossible, unless that guy has other top quality defensive magic weapons, but this is even more impossible. However, just when he had such an idea in his mind, the next moment, his pupils suddenly shrank, his face changed wildly. No, what is that? Shield, is that a defensive weapon? I saw that under the terrifying and astonishing wind, sand and wind dragon. Lu Lin actually stood there unscathed, as if nothing happened at all. The reason is that around him at this time, there are 8 sub-shields of Qing Chan's Sun Mother Shield. They are constantly rotating and exuding strong brilliance. A perfect defense was formed around him. At the same time, these defenses are like perfect barriers, completely isolating the nearby sand wind dragon. Make it impossible to invade even half a step. This is impossible. Lu Xuanquan's face turned pale. His face instantly became a little desperate, and he murmured, how is this possible? Is it really a defensive magic weapon? Isn't he just practicing the 7th level of Qi? How can he control the best magic weapon? If Baihui's sword is a mountain enough to overwhelm them. Then now the appearance of the green-toed mother shield. It was the last straw that was enough to crush them. Both offensive and defensive, and they are all top-quality magic weapons. How to fight this? This is absolutely perfect. But at this moment, something that made him even more explosive and desperate happened again. I saw Ji Yu Beiyun behind him. At some point, a formation flag fluttering in the wind appeared silently. As the willow forest gently separated the air, a rumbling wind swept across it instantly. There was even the sound of dragon roar. Roar. No, how is this possible? This is also a top-quality magic weapon. How is it possible that there is still one? Ji Yu Beiyun, who was the first to bear the brunt, collapsed instantly. First it was the Baihui sword, and then the green-toed shield. Now, there is actually a third top-quality magical weapon appearing. What kind of joke is this horse riding on? He was going crazy, but despite saying this, he still didn't lose his mind. Instead, he tried his best to protect himself as soon as possible. He raised his hand, and the ruler in his hand was instantly swept away, heading towards the wind dragon attack. But it was easily defeated and broke with a click. But fortunately, this short period of time gave him a chance to escape. Ji Yu Beiyun flashed and ran towards Lu Xuanquan at a very fast speed, no longer daring to stand alone like before. Simply put, he was afraid. At this moment, he looked at Lu Lin's eyes. It's already a complete interpretation of these 2 words. That's fear, that's fear. It's just the 7th level of Qi training, but it can actually control 3 top-quality magic weapons at the same time. What is this concept? Is this guy a monster? But at this moment, sudden changes occurred. Ahem. Suddenly, Lu Lin couldn't help coughing a few times, and then the spiritual energy all over his body became much weaker. Even the control of his Baihui sword, green-toed shield, and wind dragon flag. Everything immediately became much darker. As soon as this scene occurs, Lu Xuanquan and Ji Yu Beiyun were stunned for a moment. Then blurted out immediately. His face was filled with excitement. The spiritual energy is dry. He can't bear it anymore. Do you want to run away? Ji Yu Beiyun licked his mouth and asked Lu Xuanquan beside him with trembling eyes. The latter was silent for a moment, but still gritted his teeth and shook his head, saying with greed on his face. Are you stupid? Why are you running? This is our chance. The spiritual energy has dried up and he can't hold it anymore. Kill him now. Not only the Black Iron Golden Soul, but also these top-quality magic weapons are ours. Why are we running? As soon as this statement came out, Ji Yu Beiyun's heart also became hot. Yes, why run? If Lu Lin is killed, won't these top-quality magic weapons belong to them? This is a huge opportunity. You must not run away. As they said that, they looked at each other and then immediately said nothing. He immediately pressed forward towards Lu Lin. But what happened next? But it just made them dumbfounded. Because I saw that Lu Lin was extremely skillful in taking out several middle-grade spiritual stones from the storage bag and holding them in his hands. At that moment, his exhausted spiritual energy was immediately replenished. Boom! It instantly began to recover at a high speed. As soon as this scene appeared, they both froze on the spot. It was as if they were being immobilized by a spell, as if they had no strength left. At the same time, their faces turned pale instantly, without any blood. Then some of them trembled all over, sweating profusely, with faces full of horror and disbelief. Middle-grade spiritual stone. Lu Xuanquan almost squeezed out this sentence from his throat. And then he was completely broken. He completely collapsed and roared. How is this possible? How could he still have middle-grade spiritual stones, and there are so many? Why is this happening? I don't accept it. It was obvious that all this was really too much of a shock to him, because it must be a middle-grade spiritual stone. Who doesn't know that the value of a middle-grade spiritual stone is even more than 2 or 3 top-grade magic tools? But now, this guy actually used such an expensive, rare and precious middle-grade spiritual stone as a recovery item, and used it so extravagantly. How could he be a chi training 7th level person? What on earth is the basis for this? Collapsed. In an instant, his mentality completely collapsed. He completely lost his mind. And he was like this. Ji Yu Beiyun was even more like this. At this time, Ji Yu Beiyun's face was full of despair, and he trembled all over. It's over, it's over. If Lu Xuanquan's mood at this time was a mental collapse, anger and fear, unbelievable and unwilling, then his current mood was deep despair. The heart was filled with great desolation and powerlessness. You know, although he is now in the 10th level of chi training, but he still doesn't even have a top-grade magic weapon. This is the bloody reality gap. On the other hand, what about Lu Lin? The green toad mother and child shield, the Baihui sword, and the Fengjiao flag can be said to be an integrated attack and defense. Perfect. What's even more frightening is that he can even abuse middle-grade spiritual stones so extravagantly. What is this concept? This is simply a crushing of wealth. It's just bullying. So he is really desperate now. He couldn't see a glimmer of hope at all. But at this moment, they suddenly saw with some astonishment that Lu Lin in front of them had put away the Wind Dragon flag and the Baihui sword. It's hard. Is he planning to let us go? An idea suddenly rushed into their minds. This made them excited instantly, looking at Lu Lin with surprise. But then, just when they were about to ask for mercy, however, Lu Lin saw another gray-purple cover in his hand. This cover looked ordinary, but it actually emitted crackling thunder and lightning sounds like arcs. At the same time, firelight rushed up, arcs lost, and huge shock waves spread out. In an instant, Na Lu Xuanquan and Ji Yu Beiyun, their pupils shrank again and their expressions changed wildly. Their faces were stiff, completely mentally shattered. Still, there's still some left. Obviously. They all recognized that this was also a top-quality magic weapon. And more importantly, Lu Lin didn't intend to let them go. Instead, prepare to use this new best magic weapon to kill them. Go. At this time, Lu Lin raised his hand and threw it, and suddenly he saw the purple sun thunder fire shield flying out. It turned into a bolt of lightning, like a mountain bearing down on the top of a mountain, and fell straight from the sky, crashing down towards the two of them. No, the two of them reacted belatedly, and then tried their best to fight back, but this time, they seemed unable to withstand the huge lethality of Ziyang Thunder Fire Barrier. There was a loud bang. The two of them were immediately completely suppressed and annihilated in the thunder and fire that filled the sky. Lost its voice. You died, Lu Lin murmured, then waited a few more seconds. Only then did he control the purple sun thunder fire shield to move away and return it to his hands. I saw that the place where they were before, Lu Xuanquan and Ji Yu Beiyun, had suddenly turned into two humanoid charcoal bodies. Completely lifeless, really dead, he murmured again, and then fell silent. He stood there without moving or speaking, just standing there for a while. It took almost 3 to 5 minutes before he suddenly let out a wow sound and actually vomited it out. Vomit. I vomited several times on the spot. After a while of retching, Lu Lin covered his mouth and quickly walked away some distance, then sat down on the spot, and at the same time started to breathe heavily with a pale face. Ha, this is what it feels like to kill someone. Although it has been many years since I traveled through time, this is really the first time I have killed someone. So now he really felt like his stomach was churning, he was up and down. It's as uncomfortable as riding a roller coaster. There is always a first time for everything. There is always a first time for everything. Lu Lin kept thinking silently in his heart, trying to calm down his mood, but the result was mediocre. As a person who has traveled from the earth, killing someone is something that breaks the bottom line of his moral values after all. Even this kind of thing is inevitable in today's world of cultivation. Or even commonplace, of course. But he does still feel a little physically uncomfortable. Therefore, he needs time to adapt and digest. Like this, a while passed. He slowly stood up, and then Lu Lin glanced at the two charred bodies in the distance again, and then slowly exhaled, as if he had regained some strength. He turned around and left with firm steps. What happened today was just an exception for him. But it also means a new beginning. For killing, he must have resisted before. Even a little scared, but now, he has taken this first step, so he did it. Next time, I won't be so embarrassed. Absolutely. I murmured in my heart. Lu Lin quickly left here and rushed back towards Ningping Peak. But he didn't find it. Not long after he left this place, a figure suddenly appeared a little more than 100 meters away, and then he slowly emerged and walked towards this side. It was a low valley. It is also a blind spot of sight. So his existence, it was not discovered by anyone. Next, it wasn't until he slowly walked up to the bodies of Ji Yu Beiyun and Lu Shuangquan that had turned into charcoal, and stood there in silence for about half a minute, that he suddenly shook his head and sighed. I didn't expect there was an unexpected bonus. His name seems to be Lu Lin. What a weirdo. I didn't expect that his strength is so strong. He is obviously only in the 7th level of Qi training. He can control the best magic weapons, but he still has so many, even so many middle-grade spiritual stones. Who is he? Quote. Could it be that the news about that thing has been exposed? After he finished speaking, he was silent again. At the same time, he raised his head and looked towards the surrounding mines. At the same time, in his eyes, there was even a faint bloody light. Looks very charming and weird. The place where the black iron gold soul hid before should be here. But now, the fluctuation of the black iron gold soul seems to have disappeared. It seems that it has been taken away by someone. Could it be that it is really him? His face changed for a while. Then he turned his head to look at the direction where Lu Lin left. Then he could only leave here silently. On the other side, Lu Lin, who returned to Ningping Peak, has also found another disciple of Wulongmin stationed here. His name is Wei Ruomen, and he is a cultivator of the 8th level of Qi training. I will be in seclusion for a while. If you have any problems, you can solve them by yourself first without asking me. If it really doesn't work, come to me again. Lu Lin said calmly. It's junior brother Lu Lin. Although Wei Ruomen was a little strange, he nodded immediately. Said. Brother Lu Lin, don't worry. There are actually very few things here. Generally speaking, we don't need to intervene personally. Those mortals can solve it by themselves. Moreover, with Brother Lu, Brother Ji Yu, and you here, there will definitely be no problem. Brother Lu, Brother Ji Yu. Lu Lin sneered in his heart. He still counted on them when everyone died. But of course he didn't say anything, just nodded, and then asked casually again. Okay, oh, by the way, where is the other person? Isn't he here? There were a total of 4 disciples of Wulongmin that he had seen before, Wei Ruomen, Lu Shuangquan, Ji Yu Beiyun, and a guy who looked like he was only in the 7th level of Qi training. But now, that guy doesn't seem to be here. I don't know where junior brother Wang has gone. But it doesn't matter. When I see him, I just need to tell him. Junior brother Lu Lin, just rest assured and retreat. Don't worry about us. Wei Ruomen said with a smile on his face. Good. So be it. Lu Lin nodded, then turned around and left. He was about to find a place to start practicing in seclusion. Although he won the battle beautifully today and was crushed almost from the beginning to the end, for him, it still brought him a sense of urgency. Or motivation. This is because he has such great strength. Only then can you crush the opponent like that. But what if it's the other way around? If he was crushed like this, wouldn't that be tragic? So I still say the same thing. Strength is fundamental. He must become stronger. Become stronger. Become stronger. The days that followed seemed much calmer. Although Wei Ruomen and the others felt a little strange because of the inexplicable disappearance of Lu Shuangquan and Ji Yu Beiyun, at most they just thought that something happened to these 2 people and they went out together temporarily. As for death, they never thought about this problem at all. Or I don't dare to think about it at all. But no matter what, because of Lu Lin's arrival, the Ningping Peak branch, which caused some commotion, has now returned to its previous calm. Soon thereafter, Lu Lin's retreat practice also received new good news. That is his 5 dragon soul. Finally the cohesion was successful. After working so hard for so long, I finally succeeded. Great. Ha ha ha. Feeling the power of the 5 dragon souls in my body. Lu Lin was already a little excited at this moment, with a smile on his face. If he can now possess the ability of inner vision, then he will definitely be able to discover that it is within his dantian. Astonishingly, there were 5 more sparkling beads of light, representing the 5 colors of gold, wood, water, fire, and earth. These 5 color light beads. It's the 5 dragon souls. But it's a pity that inner vision must rely on spiritual consciousness. And spiritual consciousness can only be possessed by monks in the foundation building realm. So he can't see this yet. But anyway, the thing is done. He now also clearly feels the strength of his spiritual energy, and even his spiritual energy reserves. It's all reached a higher level than before. That is to say, although he is still practicing Qi in the 7th heaven, but his own strength has grown further. This is undoubtedly an amazing thing, because it not only means the growth of one's own strength, but also means the improvement of one's own strength ceiling. It is also the 7th level of Qi training. He is stronger than his previous self. It is even much stronger than those other ordinary 7th level Qi training. So what if he waits until he reaches the 10th heaven, or even the 11th or 12th heavens of Qi training? Isn't that definitely what it is? Maybe in this way. At that time, he might even be able to compete with a true foundation building expert. Being in the Qi training realm is comparable to building a foundation. You can imagine what this concept is. As expected of the 5 spirit transport technique. This skill is really powerful. Lu Lin murmured, and then began to think again, how should he take the next road to becoming stronger? There are only 2 ways in front of me. The first is to mass produce the purple jade pill as soon as possible. Then improve my cultivation level. The second is to continue to improve my 5 dragon soul. Right now, the material of my 5 dragon souls is the lowest white level, followed by gray levels, even orange, red, and gold. There is still a lot of room for breakthrough. But, thinking about it, Lu Lin frowned a little. Because having said that, but judging from his experience during this period, it seems that it is not easy to rely solely on the 5 spirit pills to complete the breakthrough and promotion of the 5 dragon souls. It may even be a long-term job. It simply cannot be completed in a short period of time. Then it seems that we still have to use purple jade pill. After this period of practice and proficiency, his current purple jade pill success rate is about 1/10. Although this has not even reached the passing standard, it doesn't matter. After all, just take a large amount and manage enough. Anyway, quantity leads to qualitative change. And according to his estimation, the time required to refine the purple jade pill is only about 2 hours. In other words, even if the success rate is about 1/10, 1 day is completely enough. He can now concentrate on refining a large wave of purple jade pills. Then break through and practice in seclusion. At the same time, this can also quickly help him improve his purple jade pill proficiency and pill success rate. Form a virtuous cycle. In this way, Lu Lin immediately started refining the purple jade pill. For the next month, he did nothing. Apart from eating and sleeping, he kept copying alchemy materials every day. Then continued to refine the elixir. Until 1 month later, he already has dozens of purple jade pills in his hand. At the same time, his elixir formation rate has also changed from less than 1/10 before to the current elixir formation rate of about 20%. And this can be considered a preliminary pass. For the rest of the time, Lu Lin then started to follow the original plan. Taking purple jade pill, I broke through the retreat. And this breakthrough was surprisingly smooth. From the 7th level of Qi training to the 8th level of Qi training, he completed it in less than 3 months. This gave him some confidence, even though he knew that his talent and qualifications were very poor. But Krypton gold. But it can still be made up for. In any case, as long as the elixir is enough, it seems that practicing breakthrough is not that difficult. It has only been 3 months, and it has already gone from the 7th to the 8th heaven of Qi training. This speed can definitely be said to be very fast. And next, he immediately started a new round of preparations for refining the elixir. Then there will be further breakthroughs in cultivation. Although from the 8th heaven of Qi training to the 9th heaven, it is indeed a little more difficult than the previous 7th level to the 8th level of Qi training, but it still only took him more than 3 months to complete a new round of breakthroughs and reach the 9th level of Qi training. In other words, it's only less than half a year. He has already transcended 2 small realms of promotion and reached the 9th level of Qi training. If this spreads, I don't know how many people have died from envy. Really, there is a shortcut to everything. Even cultivation is like this. And the shortcut to cultivation is to take drugs. If the elixir is enough, it is really not a big problem to break through the realm of cultivation. So he non-stop wanted to start the 3rd round of alchemy. But one day at this time, his retreat practice was interrupted. Wei Ruomen found him in a hurry and said in a hurry, "Lu, things are not going well for junior brother Lu Lin. Don't be anxious and speak slowly. It's been half a year, and senior brother Lu and senior brother Ji Yu haven't come back yet. I suspect something happened to them, otherwise, they have run away. Moreover." "And what?" Lu Lin asked. "And even junior brother Wang has disappeared. I don't know what happened, but if something happened to all 3 of them at the same time, junior brother Lu Lin, do you think it could be those from the blood spirit sect who did it?" Wei Ruomen said quickly, his face full of nervousness. The disappearance of Lu Shuangquan and Ji Yu Beiyun. In fact, he had some vague speculation in his heart that he either ran away or died. And now it seems that when junior brother Lu Lin arrived, they immediately disappeared. Is it such a coincidence? How can it be? If there is nothing involved, who would believe it? So regarding the disappearance of both of them, he doesn't feel anything yet. But things are different now. Junior brother Wang also disappeared inexplicably. The problem is that he was only at the 7th level of Qi training, so it was not important at all. Why did junior brother Lu Lin kill him? There's no need at all. But if it wasn't junior brother Lu Lin who did it, who would it be? Aren't they the most likely ones from the blood spirit sect? Are they making a comeback again? Blood spirit sect, Lu Lin murmured, his eyes fluctuating a little. He knew that he killed Ji Yu Beiyun and Lu Shuang, but he also knew that he did not kill the so-called junior brother Wang. But the other party suddenly disappeared now. There must be something wrong with this. Could it be that it was really those from the blood spirit sect who did it? However, he is not too nervous or worried, because with his current cultivation level, as long as he is not facing a strong foundation builder, he is not afraid of anyone at all. So it doesn't really matter. And more importantly, even if a strong foundation builder really comes, just run away. With his current strength, he is both offensive and defensive. Running shouldn't be a big problem. So he just shook his head and said, "Let's observe again. If you really find anything, come and tell me. Also, if you notice something is wrong, just run away. If something goes wrong, I will explain this to the sect. You don't have to worry about that." Wei Ruomen was stunned for a moment. Then he couldn't help lowering his head and said, Thank you, junior brother Lu Lin." He didn't expect that the other party would actually give him such a promise. This was indeed beyond his expectation. So he hesitated. Then he gritted his teeth and said, "Junior brother Lu Lin, I have some information I want to tell you." "What information?" Lu Lin asked curiously. It seems that the deaths of senior brother Han and the others before were caused by Lu Shuangquan, Ji Yu Beiyun and the others on purpose. Because I accidentally overheard their conversation. They seemed to have found traces of the Black Iron Golden Soul at the Black Iron Gold Mine, and people from the Blood Spirit sect happened to attack. So, they took the opportunity to kill senior brother Han and the others, and wanted to occupy the Black Iron Golden Soul. Wei Ruomen whispered. After hearing this, Lu Lin was silent for a while. His eyes flickered, although he didn't know the inside story about this matter. But in fact, I already guessed about 8 or 9 points. So he wasn't too surprised. Then he asked again, "How much do you know about Black Iron Golden Soul?" Wei Ruomen was stunned for a moment, and then said, "I only know that the Dark Iron Golden Soul is of extremely high value. It is a spiritual treasure with spirituality. This kind of treasure can even be used as the main material for forging the Golden Elixir Ancestor's magic weapon." "Magic weapon? Really?" Lu Lin said in surprise. There was a look of shock in his eyes. He had heard of this before. It is said that the Golden Elixir realm weapons and treasures above the foundation are called magic weapons. And this thing is absolutely like a ceiling in Qingyan North, and even in the entire Qingyan realm. Of immeasurable value. It's not even an exaggeration to say. Nowadays, it is still unknown whether the number of magic weapons in the entire Qingyan realm can be counted on 5 fingers. You can imagine what this concept is. Although the main material of the magic weapon is not equal to the real magic weapon, but its value can still be seen. Didn't expect this thing to be so good. It seems that he still underestimated this black iron golden soul. I'm not sure, but maybe. As far as I know, the forging of magic weapons requires spiritual materials. And the black iron golden soul is a spiritual material. It is not only expensive, but also very rare. Especially in our Qingyan North, spiritual materials are simply a legend. Normally speaking, only 1 or 2 news about spiritual materials will appear every few decades, and they are not necessarily true or false, so. Having said this, Wei Ruomen couldn't help but glance at Lu Lin. He has kept this secret in his heart for a long time. If Lu Lin hadn't said this today, he really might not say it. After all, for him, although spiritual materials are good and black iron and golden souls are good, they still have to be taken with a life. This also means risks, even death. Not to mention anything else, just having Lu Shuangquan, Ji Beiyun, is enough for him to drink several bottles. What's more, if the matter is revealed, it will be a disaster for him. So, he doesn't dare. Does anyone else know this news besides you? At this moment, Lu Lin suddenly asked. Other people. Wei Ruomen was stunned for a moment, and then reacted immediately. You mean junior brother Wang? Then his expression immediately changed, as if he was a little panicked. Lu Lin also noticed his abnormal reaction immediately. Then he asked quickly, what? Did you remember something? Lu, junior brother Lu Lin, junior brother Wang should also know about this. Besides, he seemed to know earlier than me. Wei Ruomen whispered. Is that so? Lu Lin murmured, having some guesses in his heart. It would be fun if junior brother Wang knew about this matter. In this case, there are only 2 results, either he was plotted against, or he really ran away. But, who could be being plotted against? Blood Spirit Gate. Does that mean they already know about it? Lu Lin's expression suddenly changed. My heart began to fluctuate a bit. Until now, he finally felt some pressure coming on him. After all, no matter what, the gold content of the 3 words, Blood Spirit Sect, is really quite high. So, you really have to be careful. Then he shook his head and reached out to touch the storage bag on his waist. Suddenly, a pill bottle appeared in his hand. He handed it to Wei Ruomen. There are 20 purple jade pills here, take them. Thank you for the information. Purple jade pill. Wei Ruomen suddenly looked happy. Then he immediately couldn't wait to hold it in his hands and said with excitement and gratitude. Thank you, junior brother Lu Lin. Oh no, thank you, senior brother Lu. Thank you very much. To him, the dark iron golden soul was of infinite value, but it was also invisible and intangible, and of no use. However, the purple jade pill in front of him was different. Be careful, he can rely on these purple jade pills to break through to the 9th or even 10th level of Qi training. This is the most practical and realistic thing. So of course he was happy. As for junior brother, of course he knew when he reacted that he was no longer qualified to be called junior brother now. To him, the mysterious, rich and powerful Lulin. It's already out of reach. So he has to be sensible. But at this moment, Lu Lin spoke again and said lightly. I won't say anything else, but I think you'd better go. Walk. Wei Ruomen was stunned for a moment. Then he said immediately, Senior brother Lu, listen to me. But Lu Lin interrupted him and continued. Except for those mortals, there are only 2 of us here now. To be honest, you are not much more than me. You can't help me if you stay here, so you might as well leave. Just find a place to hide for a few years, and then go back when the mission is over. I won't report you anyway, and there won't be any consequences. What do you think? That's right, he wants to drive people away. Why is this so? First of all, he doesn't want to be a burden here. After all, if any big trouble comes, it would be safest for him to stay here alone. He can move forward and retreat freely, and no one can do anything to him. Secondly, his current cultivation level has improved so fast. It only took half a year to go from the 7th heaven to the 9th heaven. And the next breakthrough in cultivation will probably be like this. although he was not sure whether the other party could discover this. But to be on the safe side, taking the person away is the best option. But his selfishness, it is a great gift to fall into Wei Ruomen's ears. Senior brother Lu, I. Wei Ruomen's face was full of excitement. Let's go. To be honest, he really wanted to leave, it was too dangerous. But he really didn't expect Lu Lin to be really willing to let him go. This to him, it's really unbelievable. Okay, stop talking and leave quickly. I still have something to do, so that's it. Lu Lin shook his head, stood up and left. He had already given him the opportunity, so that's all. Senior brother Lu, thank you. Looking at Lu Lin's back as he left, Wei Ruomen's eyes were a little red, and he whispered, and then immediately looked stern. He immediately walked out quickly and quickly left Ningping Peak. Shortly thereafter, Lu Lin also started the third large-scale elixir refining and medicine hoarding. But at the same time, somewhere outside the northern border of Xuanchen Kingdom, which is still some distance away from here, such a scene is also happening. South of Kangzhou, in a city in the southern part of the Cavalry Kingdom, senior brother Wang, who had disappeared in Ningping Peak, had already appeared here. And his current aura of dressing up, however, it is no longer the same low-key as before. At this time, he was wearing a black robe embroidered with dark red lines. His hair was rising upwards, like needle felt, in a dim blood-red color, and there was even a trace of blood-colored smoke that was constantly filling the air. It was particularly magical. What's even more frightening is that his cultivation realm at this time was actually not the 7th level of Qi training, but the 11th level of Qi training. In other words, he actually hid his strength. Besides, who is he? Isn't he a disciple of Wulongman? But if so, why is he here? Hey, isn't this junior brother Wang back? I've been here for so long, I thought you died over there. How about it, have you brought anything back? Don't tell me the mission failed. That would be very embarrassing for Wang Cheng, what do you think? At this moment, a mocking voice came. Then I saw at the end of the corridor in front, a woman in floral clothes. Oh no, it should be a man in floral clothes, standing there with eyes full of mockery, looking at him with a half-smile. And this person, there is only one feeling for people, and that is gorgeous, coquettish, or, in other words, feminine. His aura and appearance are all reflected in 3 words, femininity. His appearance is really too beautiful and feminine, which has a great impact on both men and women. If it weren't for the extremely obvious male characteristics in him, such as Adam's apple, he would definitely be considered a woman, and he is still a woman. A big beauty. But even so, this person's strength is also extraordinary. Because, this is a Dzogchen monk who has practiced Qi in the 12 heavens. This is even a higher level than the royal city that has hidden its own strength. You can imagine what this concept is. But apart from him, there is a third person here. It was a woman wearing a purple dress. Her curvy figure gives people a majestic vision and a hot figure. And her beautiful and dazzling appearance is also extremely outstanding, making it unforgettable at first glance. But what is unexpected is that, relatively speaking, the aura of the 3 people present is the most powerful, but it is not the charming man who has perfected the 12th level of Qi training, nor is he the 11th level of Qi training, the royal city. But she glanced at the charming man coldly, and then spoke. Said lightly, I'm not here to listen to your quarrel. If you have anything to say, please wait until I leave and say it slowly. Do you understand me? Of course. The charming man smiled and said. Of course we all have to listen to senior sister Yu's words. Then I'll shut up, haha. After saying this, he turned and walked into the entrance gate. At the same time, senior sister Yu spoke again, looking at Wang Cheng and said. Come over, Wang Cheng. Yes, Wang Cheng nodded, walked over, and then found a random seat and sat down. At the same time, he spoke again, saying lightly, I came here for 2 things this time. First, the situation has changed, and the black iron gold soul may have been taken by someone else. What did you say? The charming man's face changed, and he couldn't help but said coldly. Wang Cheng, are you kidding us? However, Wang Cheng ignored him, but continued to speak, even revealing some blood-red light in his eyes. There is a man named Lu Lin from Ningping Peak. That guy is very strange. He seems to be only at the 7th level of Qi training, but his actual combat power is not so. I even feel that his strength should be comparable to ours. As soon as these words came out, the faces of the two people in the room immediately changed again, with surprise on their faces. The 7th level of Qi training is comparable to our strength. Wang Cheng, do you know what you are talking about? Senior sister Yu stared at him. Of course it shouldn't be the real 7th level of Qi training. Wang Cheng shook his head and said solemnly. At that time, I saw with my own eyes that he had 4 top-grade magic weapons in his hand, and even one of them had the power of the foundation building realm. In addition, he should have a lot of mid-grade spirit stones in his hand, so I suspect that he should also be like me, hiding his true strength of the realm through some means. Senior sister Yu was silent for a while, and then asked back. You mean, he took the black iron gold soul? I'm not so sure. But it's true that I was negligent. I'm sorry. Wang Cheng shook his head and said with twinkling eyes. It was only the first day he arrived there, so I didn't think too much about it, but what I didn't expect was that he actually went to the mines that day, and later, he killed the Wulong sect disciples stationed at Ningping Peak. By the time I got there, it was already too late. I don't know whether the dark iron golden soul was taken away by him, but with my blood spirit eyes, I can no longer see the remaining traces of the dark iron golden soul. So, it should be possible. At this moment, the charming man suddenly said, looking at him with mocking eyes. Then why didn't you kill him? Wang Cheng glanced at him. Then he shook his head lightly and said, as you can see, I'm not sure. As soon as he said this, the charming man fell silent. His face turned blue and purple, but he still said nothing. This is because he knows. Although the relationship between them is not good, and although Wang Cheng's cultivation level is only at the 11th level of Qi training, their actual combat effectiveness is between equals. Therefore, if even the royal city is not sure, that means I'm really not sure. Moreover, what he wants to see is nothing more than Wang Cheng being embarrassed and embarrassed. But now he admits it directly. This also made him lose his energy all of a sudden. And more importantly, if you really can't even grasp the royal city, wouldn't this matter be troublesome? What to do with the black iron golden soul? They have been watching it for so long and invested so much time and energy, how could they just give up? That is absolutely impossible. When I think of this, he became even more angry. He said with a sinister face, I told you a long time ago, just kill them and take away the black iron golden soul. In that case, nothing will happen. It's fine now. Tell me, what should I do now? Master and the others already know about the black iron golden soul. If the thing is gone, haha. He sneered and said mockingly. Do you think you can afford the consequences, Wang Cheng? Who do you think you are? Wang Cheng was silent for a moment, and then said decisively. Sorry, this is my problem, I'm sorry. You. The charming man's face froze, and his face turned blue and purple, but there was nothing he could do. After all, Wang Cheng had already admitted his mistake and lied down on his back. What could he do? There was nothing he could do. Okay, shut up Yan Yidong. But at this moment, an impatient voice sounded, but it was senior sister Yu who interrupted him. At the same time, she stood up, flicked her long skirt, and said coldly. Now that we know who it is, isn't it easy to do something about it? Let's get ready. It's not too late to make amends. If we kill him, the things will also be ours. I'll give you 3 days to prepare. In 3 days, the action will begin. No matter what, I must get the dark iron golden soul back. Also, remember everything, this time is not the last time, so this time there is only one purpose, and that is to get the dark iron golden soul at all costs. This is related to our future and even our lives, do you understand? Having said this, she left immediately, without giving Wang Cheng or the charming man Yan Yidong any chance to talk. Until she left completely, Yan Yidong suddenly sneered. Looking at Wang Cheng, he laughed and said, snort. What a useless fool. Wang Cheng's face suddenly twitched, and then he raised his head and glanced at Yan Yidong. His eyes were cold and blood red, but in the end he didn't say anything. He just stood up and left here without saying a word. The reason why he comes back is, to put it bluntly, it's just to convince people to find helpers. And now, since his goal has been achieved, of course he doesn't want to cause any more complications. So, the next time also passed quickly. After sending Wei Ruomen away, Lu Lin began to concentrate on refining elixirs and stocking up. Compared with his previous failure, his current purple jade pill success rate has exceeded 40%. In other words, his current efficiency has increased by at least 4 times compared to before. So the corresponding time for refining alchemy and stocking up. Naturally, there are a lot less. It only takes less than half a month. There were already dozens more purple jade pills in his hand. Then, relying on these purple jade pills, he began to practice and achieve breakthroughs day and night. Completely entered into penance. And of course such hard work pays off. Just as Lu Lin predicted and estimated, this time, it only took him just over 3 months to successfully break through to the 10th level of Qi training. Generally speaking, it is no different from the previous Qi training from 7th to 8th heaven, and from 8th to 9th heaven. But Lu Lin is still a little dissatisfied with this speed of cultivation, because the 10th heaven has arrived, the 11th heaven, and the 12 heavens of Dzogchen. Wouldn't that be faster? He really couldn't wait for this. So next, he was cruel and started taking multiple purple jade pills at the same time. As we all know, pills are not something that can be taken carelessly. In most cases, one is enough. The slow flow of water comes slowly. If you take multiple elixirs at the same time, it will only bring double the burden, or even erysipelas. Side effects such as reduced drug efficacy. Therefore, the cost-effectiveness of doing so is really low. Under normal circumstances, almost no one would choose to do this. But after carefully thinking about his current situation, it seems like he can really try this. First, this is because the power of the 5-spirit transport technique has greatly improved his ability to resist destruction. So he is different from those ordinary monks. Secondly, he now only has the 11th level of Qi training left, and the 12 levels of perfection. These are just 2 small realms. Relatively speaking, not that much. So this shouldn't be a big problem, right? But regardless of whether the problem was serious or not, Lu Lin decided to give it a try. So in the next period of time, Lu Lin once again started refining elixirs and stocking up on goods day and night. And the breakthrough and hard training of practicing with all your strength. In the following days, time passed day by day. The door of the secret room where Lu Lin practices in seclusion. Now, it has been closed for more than 4 months. It wasn't until one day this month that the door to the secret room finally opened slowly, and a haggard face walked out of it. But Lu Lin, whose face was full of excitement, because now he finally got what he wanted. Finally, I got my wish and broke through to the 12th level of Qi training. In other words, he is now. I finally became a Dzogchen monk in the Qi training realm. I have worked hard for so long, and finally it's finally here. It's so cool. Lu Lin shouted excitedly. Although he is haggard, this is just the sequelae of excessive practice. Now that everything is completely over, he will definitely recover from this state soon. After all, his current physical condition is no longer a mere mortal. As a Dzogchen monk who has practiced Qi in the 12 heavens, his physical condition has begun to be extraordinary. This is called evolution. So simply put, the hard days are about to pass. Good times are coming. Ha 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 ha. He couldn't help laughing. Then he fell asleep leaning against the wall next to him. 4 months of hard work have put a huge burden on his spirit, so he needs to take a good rest now. Have a good sleep. Just like that, when Lu Lin woke up again. It's already been a day and a night. As the stars fall, darkness descends on the earth. He also slowly opened his eyes and woke up. And this time, he really fully recovered. The haggardness and haze before has been swept away, and I am completely radiant. The momentum became majestic. The 12th level of Qi training, this feeling is really different. It is indeed the Dzogchen state of Qi training. This feeling is really great. He murmured, then stood up, shook off the dust on his body, then opened the door to the secret room and walked out. His cave mansion was still as quiet as before, and perhaps because it was night and there were no pedestrians on the road, it seemed like it was very quiet here. Just when I saw this scene, Lu Lin's expression changed slightly, and he frowned slightly. Because where is Ningping Peak? This is a mine. Mining work here requires day and night. So even if it's dark, it's impossible to be quiet here. Unless, no one is mining here anymore. Did something happen? He murmured, then raised his head and looked around. Then, he seemed to notice something. Then Lu Lin pursed his lips and said slowly, "Come out, it's already like this, why are you still hiding?" "Haha, were you discovered like this? It seems you were right about Wang Chang. This boy does seem to have some strength." A mocking voice came. I saw an attic not far away. Suddenly, a pale and strange man appeared. He was wearing a beautiful colorful outfit, covered with bloody flowers, and even had a coquettish bloody red flower on his mid-length shawl hair. He looked very feminine and neutral. At this time, he felt aloof and contemptuous. He stared at the willow forest in the street from a distance. It felt like a hunter had caught his prey, as if he was teasing and sarcastically playing with it. If you look closely, he is not someone else. It was Yan Yidong. Besides, Wang Cheng, and the senior sister Yu they were talking about, they all slowly appeared from Ziyan in the same direction as his left and right hands, walked out, and then almost showed a triangle shape, completely surrounding Lu Lin in the middle. "Is it you?" Lu Lin frowned slightly and looked at Wang Cheng in surprise. Although the other party's appearance and demeanor have changed, his appearance is still the same as before, almost unchanged. Therefore, he recognized it at first sight. This guy is actually the junior brother Wang, who disappeared long ago. It turns out that he is not dead, but he is actually an undercover agent. Lu Lin's expression suddenly changed. He didn't expect it to be like this. At the same time, Wang Cheng pursed his lips and spoke again. He said slowly to Lu Lin, "Senior brother Lu Lin, long time no see. Long time no see. Are you from the Blood Spirit sect?" Lu Lin couldn't help but ask, but immediately shook his head with some self-deprecation. "Hey, why did I ask such a stupid question? Isn't it obvious?" "That's right, don't be too stupid, otherwise you will die too quickly." Yan Yidong mocked in a strange way, and then said again, "Boy, hand over your things. If you want to survive, I suggest you cooperate. Otherwise, you will die miserably. Hand over the thing." "What thing? Oh, by the way. It seems you want this too." Lu Lin smiled, and at the same time put his left hand on his waist and touched the storage bag. Suddenly, the sparkling golden crystal, black iron golden soul, appeared in his hand. And after seeing this scene, whether it is Yan Yidong or Wang Cheng, it's still that gorgeous woman, senior sister Yu, who has been silent all this time. Their pupils shrank immediately, their breathing became rapid, and then, a lot of strong excitement, or desire, and greed suddenly appeared on their faces and eyes. "It seems that you are very sensible. This is just right. Take it here and leave it to us, and you can live." Yan Yidong said greedily and excitedly, and then took steps, as if he wanted to walk towards Lu Lin. "Go." Yan Yidong. But at this moment, senior sister Yu suddenly roared angrily. Leng said, "What are you doing? Stand up. Do you want to be deceived by him?" Yan Yidong was stunned for a moment. A trace of shame, anger, and cruelty flashed through his eyes at the same time. Then I saw him glance towards Lu Lin. At the same time, his eyes became fierce. Leng said, "Boy, this is your last chance. Hand over your things, otherwise, you will die here today." "Yeah," Lu Lin smiled contemptuously, and then raised his hand instantly. A brilliant white light has been lost in the palm of the hand, and at the same time the sound of sword light is surging. There was a buzzing sound, and at that moment, the Baihui sword flew up directly, circling around his head like a dragon. The sword moves the dragon and the snake. "Come on, let me see the strength of you Blood Spirit sect people. And I actually want to tell you something. If you can't beat me, I will kill you today too." As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Lin suddenly narrowed his eyes and whispered in a low voice, quote, "Go." In an instant, the Baihui sword exploded. The huge sword power shot out, turned into dozens of rays of light and fell overwhelmingly, heading towards Yan Yidong in front of him to kill. "HMPH. What a trick." Yan Yidong sneered, and then he immediately raised his hand and erupted into a bright light. A green light spot that seemed to be an earring flew out immediately. Then he collided with the Baihui sword. A fierce roar broke out. The shock wave is huge. A top-quality wooden magic weapon. Lu Lin took a look at the earring-like treasure. Not surprisingly, it was certainly a top-quality magic weapon. After all, these guys were practicing at the 11th or even the 12th level of Qi. To them, it's just a top-quality magic weapon, it's standard. It's impossible not to have it. At the same time, another voice came. Senior brother Lu Lin, you don't think of us as Ji Yu Beiyun and Lu Xuanquan, those two losers, do you? We only have a flying sword, a top-quality magic weapon. You can't stop us like this. You'd better be serious. Wang Cheng said slowly, and then he saw that he also took out a bloody magic weapon that looked like a wind chime. When he shook the object, a bloody gust of wind suddenly shot out, heading towards the attack like a tornado. It's very huge, 20 or 30 meters long. Another top-quality magic weapon. Lu Lin sighed with emotion. But the movement of his hand was not slow at all. As soon as he raised his hand, the wind dragon flag instantly appeared in his hand, and then he shook it gently, and a huge wind tornado instantly attacked him. It also hit the opponent's bloody wind tornado. In an instant, loud noises roared, boom, boom, boom. A huge shock wave and big explosion rose from the ground, creating an astonishing power. The entire surrounding area was stirred up by the collision, and a large amount of dust was stirred up. It was as if the earth was shaking, and it was horrifying. Just at this moment, new attacks have also come brazenly. Hit! A sharp scolding sound reached Lu Lin's ears. I saw that Yan Yidong had a second top-quality magic weapon in his hand. It was a black iron gourd, emitting a brilliant light. As soon as it opened its mouth, it sprayed out 7 or 8 black balls in a row, the size of an egg, and flew straight towards the willow forest. Astonishingly powerful. Is it another top-quality magic weapon? Lu Lin murmured in his heart. It seems that the opponent's strategy is very simple. Continuously attack from a distance, wear down his state and spirit, and then look for opportunities to deliver a fatal blow. Lu Lin couldn't help but glance at the woman not far away who had never made any move. He had a premonition. Perhaps this woman is the real decisive factor. But he doesn't care anymore. Because as of now, the strength of the opponent. Or is it that the pressure the other party can bring to him seems to be weak? 5 dragon spins. Then he raised his hand and made a slight move, and suddenly 5 colored rays of light appeared out of thin air like a pen, a dragon and a snake, hitting the balls, and then swallowed them up instantly. Very fast. Now that he has successfully condensed the 5 dragon souls, I have already started practicing the 5 dragon spins, a magic power. I have to say that this 5 dragon spins is indeed the main spell of the 5 spirit transport technique. It is simply top-notch in every aspect, and its power is astonishing. Magic powers. Yan Yidong stared in surprise. Then his face turned ugly. Even a little frightened. His iron thorn gourd is a top-quality magical weapon. How can he withstand its attack with just his magic power? Doesn't that mean that the other party's magic power can be comparable to the best magic weapons? If that's the case, they're top-notch magical weapon attacks. Otherwise it would be completely useless. Senior sister Yu, use that. At this moment, Wang Cheng suddenly shouted. Say it quickly. This guy's strength is very tricky, almost perfect, and he also has middle-grade spiritual stones that can restore his spiritual energy. There is no point in fighting like this. Obviously, he had seen Lu Lin use mid-grade spiritual stones to restore his spiritual energy. So he also knows, there's no point in fighting like this. Unless the final word is given and it can be severely damaged. Otherwise, their attack would not be able to take down Lu Lin at all. Then get everything ready for me. You only have this chance, kill him. We must grab the dark iron golden soul. Senior sister Yu said slowly, then in her hand, a wooden box with what seemed like a paper seal had already appeared. Lu Lin glanced at the other party, his face suddenly darkened, and he started to feel frightened, because he had already felt that the wooden box seemed to contain an extremely amazing power. Even gave him the feeling. It's like his purple sun thunder fire shield. A foundation building treasure, he murmured, but did not panic. Because he feels that with his current strength, even if the foundation building treasure comes, it shouldn't be that dangerous. So he also became serious. Raising his hand, he summoned the purple sun thunder flame shield and placed it on his 5 fingers. At the same time, he immediately put away the Baihui sword and the wind dragon flag. In fact, based on his current strength, the cost-effectiveness, or usability, of Baihui sword and wind dragon flag is already very low. About to be eliminated, because he can completely replace them with Wulong Zhuan. You must know that no matter it is the purple sun thunder fire shield, or the Baihui sword, the wind dragon flag, These are not his natural treasures. At the same time, he is only a Qi-level monk now and does not have the power of divine consciousness. Therefore, this also means that he can only use these top-quality magic weapons with basic object-repelling techniques. This is undoubtedly a very crude way of handling weapons. It is also impossible to wield it like an arm and with ease. Therefore, for monks like them in the Qi training realm, the number of top-quality magic weapons is actually meaningless, because he cannot use distractions for two purposes or even multiple distractions. To them, the power of the best magic weapon is the key. To put it bluntly, all you need is that the power of your best magic weapon is stronger and more powerful than others. Then you can win. At this moment, I saw that senior sister Na Yu had taken off the seal of the wooden box in her hand, and a bloody light suddenly appeared, very fast. Then it was already flying towards Lu Lin. What's even more frightening is that its speed is so fast. It actually only took less than 2 or 3 seconds. It has already crossed a distance of several tens of meters. Killed and came close to Lu Lin. But at this moment, he saw clearly that this was actually a baby more than half the size of a fist. Oh no, this shouldn't be a baby. I saw it was a thing with blood-red skin, and its pointed teeth were particularly ferocious, like an evil ghost. Its skin was covered with scales and sparkling. There is even a blood-stained brilliance on it, shining forward, exuding terrifying and astonishing power fluctuations. Extraordinarily amazing. What the hell is this? Lu Lin's face changed, and he started to sweat a little. Intuition tells it that this thing is a bit scary. And this is also true, because he has already felt something similar to the purple sun thunder fire barrier on this ghost thing. It feels like the pressure of the foundation building realm. But he also reacted very quickly. The next moment, the purple sun thunder fire shield in his hand had already come out. The majestic purple sun thunder fire shield instantly fluttered in the wind, expanded several times in size, and then immediately knocked the bloody monster out. At the same time, bolts of thunder and lightning swept out instantly. It actually hit the monster immediately. Wah, what? As soon as this scene occurs, in an instant, I saw senior sister Nayu and the other 3 people's expressions changing. His face changed greatly. How is it possible? Is this really the best magical weapon? It actually suppressed even the vampires in the Foundation establishment realm. I am not wrong, right? Although I was mentally prepared. But the clarity before them still makes them unbelievable. You need to know the trump card they have prepared this time. But he is a genuine vampire in the Foundation establishment realm. This kind of thing is definitely a bit reluctant to deal with a strong Foundation builder, but if it is used to deal with the Qi training realm, it will definitely be crushed. But now for them. But it's really hard to accept. How could this be? Why did they miscalculate? His top-notch magic weapon has thunder and fire attributes, which just happens to restrain our vampires. It's such a coincidence. Now we're in trouble. At this time, senior sister Yu suddenly spoke again. Said somewhat angrily. This also made Wang Cheng and Yan Yidong react. Thunder and fire attributes. Their expressions changed for a while, but they had nothing to say. Because indeed, of course they also know that if they are at the same level of cultivation, treasures with thunder and fire attributes can indeed naturally restrain their blood spirit sect's blood path magical power. There's no way. Why are you still standing there? Go ahead. Even without the vampire, we can still kill him. Otherwise, just give up. At this time, senior sister Nayu said again. Then he saw him take out a black and shiny broken bamboo stick. He killed directly towards Lu Lin. Boom. As soon as this scene appeared, Wang Cheng and Yan Yidong suddenly had no choice but to hesitate. They all gritted their teeth and rushed forward, heading towards the willow forest to attack. But also at the same time, Lu Lin had also silently taken out a sparkling talisman. Originally, he had no intention of using this thing. But now it seems that it is no longer possible to use it. Use your fingers hard. He crushed the sword talisman given to him by Master Qingfeng. There was a dull thud. Lu Lin also shouted, "You all die." Boom. In an instant, the power of the sword light shot out, and the energy penetrated the sky. A terrifying force immediately burst out from the broken spell. Then he saw a gray light about 10 feet long shooting out. This light was like a dragon emerging from the water, and its speed was even faster than that of a vampire in the Foundation establishment realm. Just for a moment. Then he approached Senior Sister Yu, who was the first to bear the brunt of the attack. At that moment, the latter didn't even react. It had already been cut off by a sword. Split into two. Died tragically in an instant. What? The remaining Wang Cheng and Yan Yidong were stunned for a moment. Then his face changed wildly and he was sweating profusely. Face full of fear. Sword talisman. Yan Yidong screamed as if he had seen a ghost. Then he immediately dodged and wanted to escape, but how could his speed be able to match the power of a sword in the Foundation establishment realm? The next moment, that gray sword light struck again. Just like chopping melons and vegetables, kill them in an instant. It was chopped into pieces on the spot, and then I saw the sword light volleying in the air, turning as fast as a pen and a dragon. Finally, he went to the royal city. But at this moment, I saw that the royal city had also taken out a talisman and crushed it in an instant. That moment, his body actually shrank in an instant, and then disappeared into thin air. The next second, the power of the sword light slashed through. But he actually hit a scarecrow that appeared at an unknown time. The scarecrow was chopped off and split into two. But I don't know where the royal city has gone. This scene. Lu Lin was also stunned. What is this? A substitute technique. There is such an awesome thing. After being stunned for a few seconds, Lu Lin couldn't help but shook his head. Sure enough, everyone has such a thing as a trump card. First it was the vampire, and then there was this scarecrow-like substitute technique. If he hadn't been cunning enough, he would have seized the opportunity to kill these people in seconds. I'm afraid they may not be so easy to kill. Then he looked towards the purple sun thunder flame shield in midair. I saw that the so-called vampire was imprisoned inside. At this time, there were constant fierce collisions. Even the sound of destruction came. Boom, 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 but it's obviously just in vain. Facts have proved that the purple sun thunder fire shield, which also possesses thunder and fire attributes, is indeed the perfect weapon to defeat vampires. So even if it is indeed a genuine Foundation establishment realm existence. But it was still firmly suppressed. Unable to escape. And in this case, relying on the baptism and destruction of the thunder and fire power of the Ziyang Thunder Fire Barrier. It is probably only a matter of time before it is completely annihilated. Then kill him in one go. Lu Lin murmured, and then concentrated on the operation. It didn't take long before everything was over. In the sky, the Ziyang Thunder Flame Barrier spun around. Then it returned to Lu Lin's hands. As for the so-called vampire, of course, they were all wiped out. It was completely destroyed and not ashes were left. It's over. Looking at the purple sun thunder flame shield in his hand, Lu Lin's eyes flickered, and his mood was obviously complicated. As if feeling a little emotional. I didn't expect that I actually killed a guy in the Foundation establishment realm. If someone had told me this in the first place, I'm afraid I won't believe it myself, right? It's really outrageous, no matter what, it's Foundation building. The gap between several heavens and several heavens is called a small realm, but if it is the gap between Chi training realm and Foundation building realm, it is a big realm. Generally speaking, this is done by crushing. And now he has actually achieved a leapfrog kill. This in itself is proof of strength. If word spreads, it can even cause a sensation. You can imagine what kind of concept this is. But even so, he was still a little unhappy. Because someone ran away and the killing was not finished, this is a big hidden danger. There was silence for a moment, and then Lu Lin directly searched Yan Yidong and Sister Yu's storage bag, and then left here and walked towards the outside of the building complex. It just didn't take long. Their faces are getting older and harder to look at. Because, corpse, bodies everywhere, the mortals who were previously responsible for mining and transporting black iron gold. Now a large number of people are dying here, and their deaths were miserable. It was as if the blood had been drained from the body and turned into a dry mummy, or even human skin. Then they were overlapped, destroyed and discarded at will, which looked very scary. What a bunch of beasts. Lu Lin couldn't help but cursed angrily. My chest was rising and falling, and my chi was blocked, making it difficult to restrain myself. Although he is not a good person, he will still be very angry when he sees this tragic situation. This feeling is really uncomfortable, and I feel a little uncomfortable inside. But fortunately, he has killed 2 of the 3 murderers in total. So, this should be regarded as revenge, right? Hey, Lu Lin sighed, and then murmured. It seems that we can't stay here any longer. We have to leave. Otherwise, it will be really troublesome if we are asked to come to our door again. After saying that, he looked around again. Then he quickly walked away from here. As for his mission, at this time, there is no such thing as a mission. Of course you don't have to worry about it. At the same time, somewhere dozens of miles away from here, Wang Cheng, who was feeling sluggish and pale, had already appeared there. Obviously, he really escaped through some means. His eyes were full of resentment, looking sharply in the direction of Ningping Peak. Gritting his teeth, Lu Lin, I remember you. I will definitely kill you next time, just wait for me. Then he quickly restrained his spiritual energy fluctuations, and at the same time took out a few pills and drank them. Then he quickly left this place. He left without looking back. In this way, time passed quickly, and soon it was already 1 day later. This is an inconspicuous deep place in the mountains. After leaving Lulin at Ningping Peak, I just wanted to find a place to take a rest, and then I happened to come here. At this time, there were 2 sparkling space storage bags in front of him. But it's not his, but the 2 guys from the Blood Spirit sect. I don't know what's inside. I hope you can give me a little surprise. Lu Lin murmured, and then carefully began to break the restrictions on the outside of the storage bag. After a while, he opened both storage bags. Then he took everything inside. They were all taken out. Boom, 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 boom. Suddenly, a bunch of hills appeared in front of him out of thin air. Among them are spiritual stones, elixir bottles, talismans, magic tools, flags, arrays, discs, etc., as well as a bunch of sundries. In addition, there are a lot of strange-looking heavenly materials and earthly objects with different shapes. Treasure material, as well as some things like books, pictures, tokens, scrolls and the like. It can be said to be a dazzling variety. Category them first, and throw away the ones you don't need. Lu Lin murmured. Then he eliminated all the things that he was not interested in and put them aside. No matter how many things were in these 2 storage bags, most of them were of no use to him. For example, spiritual stones, pill, talisman, magic weapon array, flag array, etc. As long as these things are not at the foundation building level, they are too weak. He had no interest at all. In just a short time, the pile of hills in front of him had shrunk dozens of times and turned into a small pile. The ones on the left are all natural and earthly treasure materials. He can copy these things, so keeping them must be useful, and more importantly, among these heavenly materials and earthly treasures, he even found 2 foundation building realm things. They are a piece of dead wood branch the size of an arm. This should be a natural treasure of wood attribute. There is also a group of beehives everywhere, but there are dazzling blood blue stones in it, and this should be a mixture of blood attributes and earth attributes. These 2 things are obviously different from other natural treasures. So if nothing else happens, this should be something for the foundation establishment realm. This is quite good. In this case, the treasures of heaven and earth that I use to feed and enhance the souls of the 5 dragons will be found. Lu Lin said with a smile. He has now successfully condensed the souls of the 5 dragons. If you continue to use the 5 spiritual pills to improve, it will definitely be inappropriate. Because the speed is too slow. Just 1 white level 5 dragon soul has been used for so long. The next ones are gray, even orange, red, gold, etc. It's definitely an astronomical figure. He couldn't afford to wait at all. Because in this case, there is another way to improve the level of the 5 dragon souls, the treasures of heaven and earth. This becomes the track that Lulin is preparing to change next. You must know that the 5 dragon souls are not a whole. It is a collective name for 5 different types of 5-element power spirits. So, that's actually 5 things. As for using heavenly materials and earthly treasures to improve the level of the 5 dragon souls, this method is also very simple. To put it bluntly, it is actually Krypton gold. In fact, it is to use a large number of treasures with 5 elements attributes to feed the 5 dragon souls, thereby improving its quality level and strength. Eat a lot and be full. And now, he already has a black iron golden soul. This is the metal property among the 5 elements. Coupled with the 2 wood and earth attributes, we have already collected 3/5 of the 5 element attributes of heaven and earth treasures. In this case, he only needs to find 2 more suitable heavenly materials and earthly treasures with water and fire attributes. This is enough. After all, for him, he has the ability to copy, and if there is one, there will be countless. So it was completely simple for him. But these 2 things should be different from the black iron golden soul. These 2 things should only be able to upgrade my 5 dragon souls to orange level at most, right? Looking at the dead tree branches and honeycomb stones in front of me, Lu Lin was also thinking about this issue. Although they are all treasures of heaven and earth. But compared with the black iron golden soul, there is definitely a difference between these 2 things. First of all, black iron golden soul is a spiritual material, which is equivalent to a golden elixir level heavenly material and earthly treasure. This level of treasure should be able to upgrade the quality of the 5 dragon souls to the highest level of gold. After all, even the 5 spirit transfer technique is only a cultivation technique for the foundation building realm, which is 1 level lower than the golden elixir realm. Therefore, this golden elixir level heavenly material and earthly treasure can definitely be used until the end. There is no doubt about this. But these 2 things are different. Although he didn't know what these 2 things were. But in his own opinion, this dead wood branch and the honeycomb stone should be just the most common foundation building realm treasures. And this kind of thing should be able to raise his 5 dragon souls to the 3rd level of orange at most. So the actual gap between this, it's indeed quite big. That is to say, my ultimate goal is 2. It must be that they have found 4 other spiritual materials with 5 elements attributes that are comparable to the black iron golden soul. Quote. Lu Lin murmured. Then he smiled bitterly, because this seems a bit difficult. From the current point of view, the spiritual material black iron golden soul should be a top quality treasure that even the ancestors of the golden pill would be interested in. So let alone him now, I am afraid that at least it will have to wait until he breaks through to the foundation building realm. Only then can you have the qualifications and strength to consider this matter. But fortunately, this is only the ultimate goal, so there is no need to worry. After all, it's not like we can't use anything other than spiritual materials. Of course other weaker ones can also be used. At worst, you can just wait for the right time to change. After figuring out the connection, Lu Lin put away these 2 things, and then his eyes fell on some jade slips and books next to them. Daewon Illustrated Chronicles, Kangjo Simplified Words. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.